Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sign the Traitors, our Traitors recap podcast brought to you by Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. I am here with my co-host, Isaiah, for this season. Javier will be joining us in a few weeks once life and work and all those fun things settle down. Isaiah, how are you? It's just the two of us right now, but don't worry. Rachel will be here. She's just not here yet. So it's okay. We're going to start talking about the episode. She's going to come in. We have a couple of questions lined up for her. And we're excited to get it going with her too when she's able to join.
Very excited because obviously we're going to be talking to Rachel Reilly. For those who don't know, she's my favorite, one of my favorite winners, but like my first Big Brother winner ever. Like if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing any of this. You know what I'm saying? So very stoked. She has a snowstorm, some children, and some pizza to make for her children, and then she will be here. She literally said hurrying. So Rachel will be here tonight. Don't worry about it. She ain't flake. She's still the queen. But till then, we got a lot of Traitors to talk about.
We have plenty to talk about. We're
We're
just as good, so don't stress it. Hang, get comfy. We got a lot of show to talk about. We're going to talk about episode 1.
The red hair will be here.
The red hair will be here. We're going to talk about episode 1 now. We'll recap a little bit for you. When Rachel comes on, we'll probably pivot, just ask her a few questions, and then we'll let her go, and we'll pick up on episodes 2 and 3. So, Isaiah, Traitors is here. It started last night. They dropped the episodes like 15 minutes early, so I was ahead of everybody watching, and I felt like I couldn't talk about it. But now we could talk about it. That's what we're here to do. I'm impressed. I had low hopes for this cast. I feel like last season, the cast was just like every heavy hitter that you could possibly get from every show. And this season, I was like, really? This is the cast? But what I failed to think about was that these like non-heavy hitters are actually more messy and less like media trained than the heavy hitters. So we're getting mess, and I'm here for it. What do you think?
Very old school reality TV for me, because there's still like a lot of unfiltered DRs, people talking shit. It's great. And honestly, I mean, obviously the non-CBS affiliated people are great, but it makes me have a more appreciation for our CBS affiliate people from like Survivor, Big Brother, and stuff like that, because they don't really get to like do what they want on CBS. You know what I'm saying? So they come over here, and everyone, you get the Janelle calling Sandra a traitor and calling her a bitch and stuff like we get all this wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? So this is the type of reality TV I like. I'm enjoying some of these people I wasn't familiar with. That's what makes the Traitor so exciting. You know, like you're meeting a bunch of people. This is like the Smash Brothers of reality TV. Okay.
I love that. Smash Brothers reality TV is a perfect way to talk about it. I went into this just not knowing who I wanted to be Traitors, not knowing who I was really rooting for. Like, obviously, we did our draft the other day. I purposely went first so I could get Jeremy, and I'm still very excited to have him. But, like, you know, as we talked about, I didn't know what to expect from Danielle. I didn't know what to expect from Tony. I didn't know if Boston Rob was going to be in the castle. And, like, obviously, all those questions are answered. And it's just not panning out the way I expected it to, in almost like a good way. But I'm questioning myself because I had a lot of strong opinions about people on our draft podcast on Monday, and I feel almost the complete opposite of how I felt on Monday, and I'm upset about it. But we'll get there when we get there, because I'm specifically talking about Boston Rob. And if this show makes me root for this man, I'm going to be really upset about it. But as of now, I'm low-key rooting for this man. And I know that's not a popular opinion based on how everybody feels on Blue Sky.
It's not. And listen, we were on the draft podcast. I said what it was. I'm like, I know Rob is an acquired taste. I know he's not the best, a little overhyped, but Rob has a huge face on Fiji for a reason. You know, like he is great, and I have a lot of respect for his style of gameplay. You know, we're going to get to the Robs and Wes's and Derricks of the world a little bit later tonight, but yeah, I think that these three people are here to put some respect on their name and make people stop talking crazy about their resumes, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, let's jump into it. So before we even get to the castle, everybody comes in the cars, and there were just like a couple of things I took notes on that I thought were relatively interesting, and something I called out on Monday's draft podcast. For anybody that's listening, anybody that's a Housewives fan, I did say about Dorinda, expect a lot of Bluestone Manor jokes, a lot of Make It Nice jokes, and she, jumping ahead, is not on the show for very long, and we got like 4 references to those things in just the first episode. So I just want to say I was right. I know my Housewives. But Sam Ashgari not talking about Britney Spears was a big downer for me because, like, let's not pretend that's not the only reason you're on the show.
I
Who are
mean,
you
I
without
didn't.
Britney Spears?
I don't know, but look, he's on the show. Like what? You want him to just have every confessional be about Britney Spears until he
No, but
says something like
Ion
crazy?
said, "Does Britney Spears watch The Housewives?" He can't even say that. He's
Oh,
probably
okay.
under
I don't know.
NDA, but still, come on, really?
I feel
I
like
don't
no
know.
comment.
I should be like, I don't know what she watches. We're divorced. That's it. Period.
Okay.
Um, Similar to what happened last year with Parv and Sandra, we talked about this too on Monday, was just the Brittany Danielle feud. And again, I feel like it was pretty obvious that that was going to get played up into something more than it was. And I think as we see throughout the episode, that is kind of the case. We got a very emotional beginning of the episode from Danielle, which Danielle's doing a lot. And I can't wait to talk more about Danielle specifically because I'm not getting anything that I expected from her. And I don't know how to really react to what we are getting. But she's really crying over reindeer games like a fake show months later.
um, Look, it's okay. When was how what was the break in between reindeer games and this?
I actually don't know the break between filming, but like it's Big Brother.
Oh, I mean, look, they probably haven't
It's
talked
fake Big
since
Brother.
whenever that happened. Listen, knowing Brittany, she doesn't like talk to anyone after these shows. I remember in reindeer games, her and Nicole squashed her beef on camera too. Like this is a
Yes.
reoccurring thing of Brittany squashing beefs before the show starts because she just doesn't care.
True.
But real quick, we see her in the background. Rachel, what's going on?
Hi,
Hey,
Rachel.
hi Isaiah. Hey, Katie. How are you?
How are
So good.
you?
Thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Well, we are so excited to talk to
So
you.
real quick,
You go.
Yes.
I was about to say, how long do we have you, Rachel?
I mean, I think I have 25 minutes and I have to pop out a pizza and then I could come back.
We'll make whatever work. All right, bet. Go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, we don't want to take you from your pizza, so don't stress it. Rachel, I know I want to talk about this cast with you because obviously you have
Yes.
so much experience on this show. So I'm curious, what's your initial reaction to this cast, given obviously your cast was mixed with celebrities, non-celebrities? Like, how are you feeling about these full celebrity reality star casts versus like the half and half?
I mean, it's honestly way better. Like we did have some good non-celebrities come out. Like Michael was amazing. And I thought Andy was a great character. I wish Andy would have gotten more like just Andy didn't trust us because we were the celebrities, I think. And I feel like I loved Amanda. I like these people, right? Christian was a great traitor. But I think when it comes to TV, if you're making TV, like putting this group of celebrities from like random shows, like not random, but all different shows, right? Like it's pretty epic. You put a bunch of people from different networks with different backstories together. Like it makes amazing television. So I do think just from a viewer's standpoint, like I enjoy that a lot. I also like what they've been doing recently with the feuds. So I noticed like Dan and Janelle, right? They kind of had a feud. Then now it's like Brittany and Danielle that kind of had a feud. And then I noticed they also have like all the people have relationships, right? So I don't know if you guys got into spoilers yet, but I know like did you get into spoilers?
We just started talking about pretty much just our cast overview and like
anything.
what we're getting from them from the first episode. But spoiler free. I mean, go for it. If it's been in the episodes, feel free.
Well, I think it's out on social media. So like Derrick comes in, which I think is very interesting as well, because I know Brittany and Derrick like kind of have that backstory as well. So I feel like they picked a lot of people with interesting backstories. And I do enjoy that. I appreciate that. But I think definitely like bring all the celebrities. I'm living for it.
I'm curious. We were actually just perfect timing of bringing up the feuds because we were just talking about Danielle and Brittany, and we don't know the timing between filming Reindeer Games and the timing of filming the Traitors. But I'm curious if you feel like the feuds are almost a benefit because we saw it last season with Sandra and Parv, and then we saw it this season with Danielle and Brittany. Is it better to like have the enemy that you know and you know what to expect from them, or is it better to just get rid of them earlier so you can just not have to worry about that pre-existing feud? with the risk of just starting new feuds with people that you don't even know. Like, is the devil you know better than the devil you don't?
You're so right. I didn't even bring up the Sandra and Parvati feud. Like, I definitely think, well, but they made it work, right? So that was
Yeah.
kind of interesting. But I will say, like, Danielle and Brittany, I think are going to be, it's different. Like, I don't know. I just feel like they're so different, as in they're like gaming, and their feud was more personal, where like Sandra is always a gamer. Like, she's going to game until, you know, the game is done. And so she's going to make it work, where it's same thing with Parvati. But I wonder if like Danielle and Brittany will get emotional, or if they'll be more like, Danielle's a gamer. I think Danielle's a gamer. And Brittany, I don't know, maybe she's just kind of doesn't care maybe. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. I would work with them. If it was me and like one of my enemies, I would try to work with them. But like Cody didn't want to work with me. So
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? It's like, I think it just depends. But if I had to go back in and like Kate was there or something, I would get rid of Kate immediately.
Yeah. Even today, if you went in another season.
Oh, even 100%. Yeah, she would be my first target. I mean, she literally doesn't ever want to work with me. And whatever it is about me, I drive her insane. So like, I don't think that she would even work with me if I asked her to. I don't think it would be like ever beneficial, because she's not like someone that I'm like, hey, nobody will suspect us working together. Let's be gamers and try to work together. Like, I don't see that happening. But I love all what they have. Oh, Tony and Rob, like that is Survivor royalty. Like, can you even imagine being on with Tony and Rob? Like Tony's the only person that's won. Well, Sandra, right? But like Tony won All Stars, so like that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So
the heaviest of the heavy hitters on Survivor we have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Rachel, I'm curious, because obviously you play with like a half and half season. Do you think if you were in like a group like this or a group like last season, do you think you would have like more success? How do you think about that?
I think I would be more successful on a season like this, like season 3, or even season 2. Like, I would have loved to play with like Sandra and Parvati, but I do think the fact that we had a half and half season, I think it did like mess with my dynamics, especially in the end. Like, I don't think Andy ever wanted to trust me. Quentin never would have given me a chance. And just because they wanted to just get rid of me just because I was like the non-celeb, right? So I feel like if you're on that cast with all the celebs, it's a lot different. Plus, like, I'm a very big personality. So if I'm on there with like a ton of like really big personalities, I think that it like balances it out, you know?
Yeah, totally. And plus, you guys have experience being on TV, playing games like this, at least half of, whether they're celebrities or whether they're gamers or housewives or whatever. But everybody's been in front of the camera; they know what to do. Where I feel like if I walked in who is not a gamer on TV, like I would be out of my element. So it's got to be difficult to just be on different. The playing field is not level.
No. That's true. Yeah. And it's hard. Like, I tried to use it to my advantage, but I don't think it really worked, except for with Michael. Michael was the only one that even cared at all.
Well, he was a fan, right? Like a fan of Big Brother, and
he's a huge Big Brother Survivor fan. And but I mean, like, the other people knew who we were. So this is another thing. When I played Traitors, they would go back and YouTube us at night.
Oh.
So like we would get
so you had access
so they would
to
like watch our videos on like YouTube. Yeah, so they like knew, because Andy would be like, "Oh, I watched a bunch of clips on YouTube last night of you," and I was like, "Oh, great." So like then it became my only personality to Andy was what they saw on YouTube. And I was like, that sucks for me, because then they aren't going to give me a chance from this game. They're only seeing me from what they see on YouTube, and they think that that's like who I am, you know?
Right. Wow, I had no idea you guys had access to media like that when you were at night.
Well, we did. I don't think the season 2 or 3 did.
That's probably for the best. I
Interesting.
would imagine anyway.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I'm pretty sure I think Kate had watched some clips as well, because I remember conversations where they had said, like, I think it was like Kate or something said like she had watched one of the Floaters Grab a Life Vest clips or something. And I was like, I don't feel like you watched that before you knew you would be on a show with me.
Right. Like what would have brought that into her realm unless she was a fan.
Right. Exactly. I'm pretty sure she saw it when we were filming.
Yeah. Oh my God, how funny.
Rachel, so like obviously we know you're like familiar with like the Big Brother Survivor people and everything. How familiar are you with like the Housewives world or like the Selling Sunset or all those other people that are in the Traitors Mansion?
I'm pretty familiar with, well, I know Chriselle. Chriselle's a Big Brother fan as well. So that's kind of cool because so I filmed a soap opera with her in LA one time.
Oh, cool.
Before she did Selling Sunset. She was like an actress, right? So before she did Selling Sunset, she and I filmed like an episode of a soap opera together. Funny enough, I think Dr. Will filmed the same soap opera with us. But in a different time. Like she and I filmed on set together. And so I knew she was a fan of Big Brother. So I feel like I'm obviously gonna be rooting for her, but I feel like she might like gravitate toward Brittany because she does like Big Brother. So I think that that's like good. As far as Housewives, like I watch most of the Housewives, but I don't think they watch Big Brother at all. So I don't know if that would help us. I interviewed Brandy on my show. So in 2014, I had a talk show. And so it was like, I did Reality Relapse and Hollywood Today Live. And so, but this was like 2014. So I had interviewed her on my talk show. And I was like, you came to my studio. Like we had a studio in Hollywood, like overlooking Sunset Boulevard. And she's like, oh, did I do a lot of interviews? And I'm like, okay. Like I was clearly not memorable. But I obviously knew who she was. I didn't know who Kate was, and I've watched Below Deck, but I don't think I was like studying it. I knew Kyle for my season. I knew Ryan. I knew obviously Cody from the other Housewives. This season, like I watched Dubai, so I would have known, but I don't. I mean, I know Dorinda, but like I don't know. Like I'm just what I see on TV. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you're not.
And I watch RuPaul, so. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched Drag Race, so I would know all the queens, and I would die. Like, could you imagine? I like got to film Worst Cooks with Trinity. I almost like I felt like such a fangirl the whole time. I was like, oh my, it's Trinity! Like, are we real life right now? So that was really cool.
I want to talk to you about Worst Cooks. Like, tell us a little bit about that because I want to give you some promo, whatever you're allowed to say. I don't know if the press for that has started or not, but would love to hear about it.
We did. It's every Sunday. So it's Sundays at 8/7 Central. The first episode was a 2-hour premiere, and it was last Sunday. It was so fun. We had an absolute blast. It's really funny. So if you're familiar with Worst Cooks, this season is Heroes versus Villains. So Wes, actually, who's on this season of Traitors, he's on that. Tiffany, who is like our queen, right? Tiffany Pollard, Corinne, Bartice from Love Island. Love is Blind. Trinity the Tuck, Adam Rippon, Cheryl Burke, Sebastian Bach, like big Frankie is in there with me. Frankie, who I'm like besties with. It's so iconic, right?
Yeah.
It is like, how did they even, this is like so iconic. I'm very excited to be on it.
So did you and Wes talk Traitors at all?
We did.
Like you did?
So he filmed, I think he filmed Traitors after we filmed Worst Cooks. He had so they filmed House of Villains before, and then I think, or did they film House of Villains after? I think they filmed House of Villains first, and then they filmed Worst Cooks. I mean, he is booked and busy, and he has like his own show. So I think he filmed Traitors after. So he did ask me questions about Traitors. And I was like, well, we all know you're going on Traitors. So like, I can't help you because it's just not a show where you can like help someone. I'm like, but I can like tell you how to like try to navigate the middle if you're faithful. I'm like, I was never a traitor. It's the same thing with Brittany. I was like, I don't know what to tell you, because it's not like I can't give you like tips. I could tell you like pack cute clothes. Like, it's just such a cast dependent show. There's no way you can go in and think like, I have a strategy, I have a plan. It all goes out the window. Like, if you're faithful, it doesn't matter, because you either get banished or murdered if you don't do certain like things, or they don't like you. It has nothing to do with any preparing you can do.
Yeah.
So real quick, Rachel, you know, because you talked about spoilers, you know who the traitors are, right?
Yeah. So Danielle, Caroline, and who's the other one?
Bob the drag queen.
That's right. Okay, Bob the drag queen. That's right. Okay.
And then, like I said, we're hopping around a little bit, so like we'll probably wait till after you're finished with this. But Rob as well, right? What do you feel like their
Rob is a
trajectory
traitor
are?
too?
Yes.
Well, we'll get yeah. So
yes.
How do you feel about these four? Do you think they're going to do good things? Do you think this is just like doomed to fail? Obviously, with like the limited stuff that you do know, what is your trajectory for these four?
Okay, so knowing what I know now. Oh wow. I think if I was anyone on that cast, I would get rid of Rob immediately. Like, he's the first person I would just say, I don't care if you're a traitor or faithful. You're Boston Rob. You're obviously a traitor. And if he's like, that's so obvious, da 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 da, I would be like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm still banishing you because he's so obvious. I would never guess Caroline. I think she's probably the last person. Bob the drag queen too. I think probably the last person I would guess as a traitor. But Bob is very outspoken, right? So, like, I think maybe I would think after a few weeks into it, I don't know. I have to finish watching all of the episodes they just dropped. Yeah. But just from like what we know, from like what we've seen in the very beginning, which I haven't seen much, I'll have to admit. But I think I mean, if Boston Rob is a traitor, it's just like, get rid of Boston Rob. Like, if you go in that house and you see Boston Rob, like, why would you keep Boston Rob? You know?
Right.
That's like what I thought about Dan. I was like, why would anyone keep Dan? All Janelle had to do was say, like, you guys, he literally is like the biggest liar, manipulator on TV, known for lying. Like, if Dr. Will walked into Traitors, first person I'm going after. I don't care if Dr. Will's a traitor or not. It's obviously Dr. Will, yeah.
And it does seem like,
so.
I mean, I
here's
don't know
the
the
hard thing with
methodology.
that, though.
Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry. My earphones are acting right now.
Go.
I feel like, and you can tell me if you think differently, Rachel. There's like a little stink on Big Brother and Traitors right now, because I feel like, I don't know. Obviously, Suri with the first season, and then the challenge they got, CT and Trishelle last season. I need that Big Brother win, and it feels like Big Brother always comes in and like they're like this force, and then everyone just kind of like destroys each other because everyone knows like everyone's a liar. You know what I'm saying? It always feels like Survivor are very like strong. It always feels like the Housewives are strong.
Together.
I don't. Yeah, so like I don't know if it's like in Big Brother's best interest at this point to like turn on each other.
No,
but it's hard.
We always say that. No, but that's like the number one thing I have this exact conversation with everyone from Big Brother. Literally, we're the only show that eats each other alive. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. You watch it on The Challenge, you watch it on The Traitors, you watch it on any of these shows that we do. Everybody works together. From The Challenge, like ride or die. The Survivor people are usually like, we're good until the end. The Housewives are ride or die. And the Big Brother, they are like, oh, another Big Brother person's here. I need to get them out. I need to be the only Big Brother. It's bizarre to me. I don't understand it. I don't know why we go after each other like that. Maybe it's the nature of the show, but it's weird. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Part of me almost
Does that happen on Big Brother Canada?
I don't know. Can you watch Traitors Canada?
I did not see season 2 of Big Brother Canada yet. But season 1, no. I mean, I'm just trying to remember back. It was Kuzi and Kevin. They really didn't go after each other much. They kind of like ignored each
Right.
other a little bit at the beginning. I'm just trying to remember back so many seasons of the Traitors that are in my brain stored up. But no, there was like a reality TV thing at the beginning of it because they were also a mixed cast. But I don't
Right.
recall Kevin or Kuzi really going after each other hard. Someone in the chat,
Yeah,
if they remember better than me, let me know if I'm wrong. But I don't think so. I wonder if it's that like the Housewives filmed so many seasons together. Survivor, it's a lot
Yes.
of like the big players who have played together multiple times. I mean, you know, Janelle and Dan played together, Brittany and Danielle played together on reindeer games, but like maybe it's just the nature of it is a little bit different because they don't have those like I
That
don't
makes
know. I mean,
sense.
off the
Well,
show
Survivor
though, you
brings
guys
them
all know
back
each other
so many times.
so many
And you're
times.
right. Like Challenge, you go back for the challengers, they just
That's
like
their
come
full-time
back
job.
like back to back to back. Yeah, that's their full-time job. And
Yeah.
then as far as like Survivor, you're right. Like Survivors, they are like, you know, they'll get called every few years or every few seasons. But you're right, Big Brother, it's like few and far between. And then there's only a few of us that even get called back. So that could be why Big Brother doesn't stick together as much. But I think the Big Brother Canada people do stick together more. I don't know. I would, if I saw a Big Brother person besides Cody or Derrick, I would work with them, or Dan or Will. And if it was a Big Brother girl, I would work with her.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, like, do you feel like production is kind of, or whoever's choosing the Traitors is kind of painting themselves into a corner a little bit because they're always picking the Suri, the Dan, the Boston Rob. Like, it's got to become a meta at some point that the biggest, most like traitorous person on their show, or like the biggest name from one of those shows, is going to be a traitor, right? Like, that has to start influencing the roundtables. I'm shocked it hasn't yet.
Yeah. I think they haven't caught on yet, but I think they will. So this is the thing. We're kind of like screwed if there's ever an actual all-star season, or if they continue to have Big Brother survive, like gamers, as the other people call us, gamers on, because every season there's always someone from Survivor, always someone from Big Brother who is a traitor, like from the jump. So at this point, well, I guess not from the jump. Well, Cody was, but season 2, we didn't have a Big Brother. Oh yeah, Dan. What am I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we're done. We're cooked. Yeah. I mean, if I was anyone from a Bravo show, I would be like, it's a gamer. So who do you want to go after first? The only thing that the gamers have going for us is that there's like, they had 4 survivors on this season. So
too many.
I mean, it's 1 of 4. Right. I think so too. So it's like 1 of 4. The Big Brother, it's like, I would say, okay, it's probably one of you. So let's get one out. And then if it's not you, then it's the other one. So I would, if I was a Bravo celebrity, I would just like clear out the gamers. I mean, just for fun, but I hope nobody's listening to this.
I don't think they do their homework enough to think about it. So I think they're going to be, I think the gamers will be fine.
Yeah,
I think the Housewives doing their homework. Okay, good.
Yeah, I know. I don't see the Bravo celebrities being like, Rachel said this on a podcast. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, listen, because I know you said you only got like 25 minutes, so we're gonna just wrap it up with you, Rachel. But I guess my last question, just as a fan,
yes,
are you playing Big Brother again? Like, what's going on with that? Because like we need it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, who knows? I mean, I haven't gotten asked, so I know that there's like some other show with a bunch of Big Brother people in the works, but I didn't get asked for that either. I know, so that's something that the fans can look forward to. But I think maybe like if they asked me, I would, if it was like 3 weeks, probably. I don't know. I don't even know anymore because like it's such a complicated game at this point. It's like I love it. I love doing the competition shows. It would just have to be the right timing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there another show?
I think naturally. Go ahead, Giddy.
Sorry. I was just saying, is there another show that you haven't, or a game that you haven't played that you want to play, that you're hoping someone calls you for?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do Survivor, but I don't think they're gonna call me for that. So I don't know.
Well, they should.
Maybe, yeah, they should. Maybe you'll see me on something else. You always do. Yeah. But I just don't know what. I mean, you never know. Like, I did the snake in the grass in the jungle, and I killed it. So I was like,
That was a fun
Janelle
show.
and so it was so fun. Yeah, Janelle, Suri, and Stephanie were like making fun of me because I was like, "Hey, do you guys want to go like check out the bugs and like let's sleep and all this?" Like I was totally like sleeping on the ground, no problem. They're like, "Yeah, you do great in Survivor." I was like, "I think I would."
All right, Rachel. Listen, appreciate you so much for coming on. Thank you so much. I know this was today's been crazy for you, but more than appreciative of you coming on.
If you have any thoughts you want to share with us, we'd love to have you back once you watch all 3 episodes or the rest of the episodes. If you have any season thoughts you want to share with us, the door is always open.
Yes, I can't wait. Okay, thank you. I can't wait to go finish everything and watch it. And thanks for having me. This was so fun to hang out with you. And make sure everyone that's watching watch Worst Cooks because it's very funny, very lighthearted, fun, and funny on Food Networks at 8/7 Central on Sundays. And then it's streamed on HBO Max the next day or Discovery Plus.
Amazing.
Yes.
And you guys have an iconic cast.
All right. It is beyond iconic. It is like epic. Yeah.
Well, everybody go check that out. And Rachel, thank you.
Yes. Thank you. All right. I'll see you guys soon.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Right,
thanks, you too.
All right.
Well, that was
so really nice because I was so close. I was this close, right? Where she was like, and I love Rachel. She was like, if I was in the Traitors with anyone, I would work with anybody from Big Brother, but Derrick will. And she's like, any girl. I was so close. You see my face.
I almost said it too. I almost was going to say even Nicole.
Yeah.
I almost did, but
she
did us. It was nice for her to be here, so we didn't want to be too shady with her because she is so sweet.
Shout out to Rachel, bro.
That was really fun. Right. Super fun. Took us away from the episode a little bit, but that's okay. We're here. It's Traitors premiere week. We're here to just go with the flow and have a good time. So we'll jump into the episode. We know Rachel didn't watch a ton of it, so we didn't want to do too much episode questions for her just because we didn't want to catch her off guard or spoil anything for her either since she hasn't seen it. So back to the episode. Let's talk about Boston Rob. Everybody's standing outside. Boston Rob's there. Alan, we talked about this a little bit too on the draft podcast, but like this twist is that Rob was one of the people dressed in their shroud and their gold mask. Alan says, if you want Rob to enter the game, come up and shake my hand. So that's what we saw in the first 7 minutes that was released, but we didn't see if it was like a vote and then one person was a representative or what. But it really turns out one person could just go up and just change the whole game. Would you have done it?
Absolutely not. I think
you can't do it.
Anyone in their right mind who would have did that is crazy. And I think the only way they could have got someone to shake a hand is if they made it one of the housewives, like actual friends from like a show that they've been on, or like if I don't know. I think that's just about it. Like any of the Bravo people might have did it if it was someone that they're friends with. But Big Brother and Survivor, there's no way in hell any of them would have did that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the non-gamers they're just not thinking about it. Even Ayan was like, I mean, I don't know him and whatever. Like, why would I do that? I'm not even thinking about it. So like, they're just not thinking that way. So it's interesting because Rob is so like, I'm going to get my revenge. He gives this big speech about like, would you rather be the exiler or exilee basically? And it's like, these people are not falling for this, Rob. Like, it's just not happening.
And it's like, these are like top tier celebs for us because we're like reality TV fans, but to like these Bravo and whatever other networks that they're on, these are just like, who the fuck are these people? You know, like, so I don't blame it. Like, I don't expect like a random person on the street to know who like Dan, Will, Sandra, or any of these people are. We're just crazy, you know? So
we are just crazy. I mean, we are crazy. I was actually talking to some friends the other night and we were like, oh, Traitors is fun, but like we watch Big Brother because we're psychotic. Like normal people don't watch Big Brother. Like you have to have something wrong with you to like be on those feeds all day. But this is a show that can just appeal to everybody. And that's what makes it fun.
Agreed.
Okay. So my favorite feud, since we've talked so much about feuds so far, is with Bob the drag queen and Boston Rob's hat. That's it.
Yeah, he get so many comments.
Such a hater on the hat. Yeah.
And I'm like doing promo for the Twitter if I keep looking down. But
Don't stress
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Don't stress
like complete hater for that. It was crazy.
But I thought it was really funny that both times we saw Boston Rob in the cloak, he had the hat on under the cloak, which I'm like, that can't be comfortable, dude. Just like, do you need to be wearing the hat? You have hair. Even if you didn't have hair, do you need to be wearing the hat at all times? I don't know.
Do you think he actually knew when he arrived that he would be in the position he was in?
Um, I'm of two minds of this. Maybe not, totally not.
Okay.
But I think if he did know that he was going to be like, I don't even want to say he's a late addition because he showed up at the castle at the same time. He just had like a different entrance. If he did know
Mm-hmm.
that, I think he probably had some kind of clause somewhere saying like, if I'm traveling there, I need to play the game and I want to be a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think for
Okay.
Rob, they would do that.
Okay.
But I don't
That
know.
makes
I mean, I
sense.
don't really know how the show works behind the scenes like that, but I do
I
just
feel like Dan was for sure like, I'm not coming on unless I'm a
unless I'm a
traitor. But
traitor.
like
Yeah.
Rob, I don't think Rob, because Rob seems more like I'll do it for the bag. But like he probably thought he was showing up in the cars like everyone else, and they were like, actually, you're runaway. I'm sure he did the
Yeah.
same thing for Wes and Derrick. Like I don't think they knew that they were going to be
That they would
tied
be
up in
late.
like some cage or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, any other first impressions of anybody in this cast that maybe you're not less familiar with? Positive, negative, anything that struck you?
By episode 1, no. Later on, a lot of people caught on to my radar for sure.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about it as we get deeper in.
Okay.
As we go into the manor, there's a huge framed portrait of Andy Cohen, and mark my words, that's coming back to haunt us for some reason. Whether it's a mission, whether it's that there's no reason one there would be a framed photo. And yes, I know people on Blue Sky were like, he hosted the reunion. I know that. I know that very well. But why it's not a Bravo show? It's a Peacock show. Why would there be a frame photo of Andy Cohen? I don't get a portrait of Andy Cohen. It doesn't make sense. So it's going to be an emission or something. It'll come back to us. Right after they went into the manor 2 or the castle, we did see like Wells and Ion's relationship growing a little bit, which we saw flourish and then sadly come to an end for a couple of different reasons. But I like that. I thought they were like a nice unlikely pair.
It was
Did they hit you
something I
at all?
wasn't expecting. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know Wells, and sorry, I can tell I have a little bit of a lag. I didn't know Wells coming into here. I think during our draft, we said that we feel like he was going to be like a Peter-ish figure. And he was definitely giving that. Like, you could tell he was trying to be a strategist. Was he the one that said that he had experience watching, or was that Zac Efron's brother, Dylan?
That's Zac Efron's brother. Zac Efron's brother is
Dylan,
giving
okay, so yeah.
big Peter Pals energy.
Yeah. Oh, you know
Big
what? It
Peter
was
Pals
Wells
energy.
that was saying, he was just like, the Survivor people scare me. You could tell like they're all ready to like
He was
screw
like, I
people.
just go to the
That's what
beach.
that was Wells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wells
Okay.
was kind of like Wells and Gabby both, I think, from The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, that franchise, were a breath of fresh air to me a little bit after seeing Ari and Peter, because I felt like they were just funny and they had like, I don't know, Wells almost had, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but like a bad attitude, which I found to be funny. Like he was like over it from the start and he was just like annoyed at people. He like was getting pissed when people were burning votes. And I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but like, I don't know. I liked his vibe of negativity, which is weird to say, but I just felt like he was being himself.
I think this being the 3rd season marks just like the people who don't come from these shows where the whole point is just to like be the worst person possible. It's like you're coming on here like he's from like Bachelor world, like you're just dating someone, like he's coming here like what the hell is wrong with these people? I get it. Right. If I walked up and I met Carolyn and Tony and all these crazy people, I'll be like, Jeremy, I'm like, please, like get away from me. So I get it.
Carolyn and Tony's energy. Yeah. They have like chaotic energy. Yeah. Jeremy's like more chill, normal.
I agree.
Yeah. That has to be like a lot to be in the presence of, and like not be
Bob's
like,
loud as hell 24 hours a day. Like they're just crazy.
Both Bobs are outspoken. Okay, let's I want to get into the traitor selection.
Okay.
obviously, as we've talked about, the starting traitors are Bob the drag queen, Danielle,
Mm-hmm.
and Carolyn. What is your immediate reaction to this traitor selection?
I was happy with it because, well, and I think Rachel said something earlier when she was here that like it's kind of obvious that like one of the 3 or 4 slots will always go to Big Brother Survivor. It's interesting because I was coming here and I'm like, there's no way they're going to do this again because everyone would expect it. And
3
I think
times.
since it's so obvious, you don't expect it because it's like they're not going to do this again, and they keep
Right.
doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to be honest, going into season 4, I'm not expecting it because I'm like they keep doing this, but they seem to do
They're
this
gonna
right.
do it.
I think
They're gonna do it.
in the draft there were 2 specific people who I was very worried about, and that was Danielle and Carolyn. And I distinctly remember specifically Carolyn, but also Danielle. I'm like, if they're faithful, they're going to do terrible. But if they are traitors, Danielle might make a terrible decision. I was like, Carolyn, though, that might be her saving grace. I actually think Carolyn would be a great traitor, but terrible faithful. And when I saw her get selected for a faithful, I was just like, oh no. We also called Bob. I was like, Bob's gonna be a traitor too. So like those 3 people, Bob, we'll get to him in a second, but Carolyn is definitely the MVP for me. I think I think the whole traitor role can get to the people's head with how much power you hold. And I mean I don't want to jump ahead too much, but I think there were solid picks for sure.
I was not super excited about it because of
Okay.
the same one. I thought it was setting Danielle up to fail, and I was still am, but was more so before she became a traitor, rooting for Danielle.
Mhm.
I like I said on Monday, wasn't super familiar with Carolyn's game, so if we did get a survivor, I would have rather seen like a I mean, Tony would have been too obvious, but I really wanted a Jeremy traitor. I feel like Jeremy would make a good traitor. He's very like even keel, very cool, calm, collected. So I'd like to see how he played. Bob is the one I was the most excited about because I don't really know Bob. I'm excited to see someone from a different show be a traitor, someone who's not familiar with these games, just see how they play. And I know Javier is a huge Bob fan, and I trust Javier's opinion. So I was like, oh, this is exciting. Like, we'll get to see something good here. And we've gotten these traitors are giving us something. I don't know what to call it, but they're giving us something. But it's a mess so far. I don't want to get again too far ahead of us.
I'm okay
But
with that. I'm okay
it's a
with
little bit
that
of a
though.
mess.
I think Cerie set this precedent with the traders that and to be fair, she was playing with like half faith regular people, civilians. So I do think her win gets blown up a little bit, but I think Cerie almost has the Derrick Levasseur effect where Derrick and Big Brother, for those who aren't aware, played like this. I'm not going to say flawless game, but like damn near broke the game with how great he played, and it set a precedent for like seasons on. And I think Cerie, with the way she played and how dominant it was, it set this precedent that like, oh, being a traitor, you need to play like this, and that. And I think last season showed how sloppy you can be as a traitor. And I think this season is bringing friendship with a hint of mess. And I think Rob also brings something interesting. We'll talk about him a little bit later, but I think all 3 of them I was happy with because it was unexpected. I'm like,
Yeah.
Danielle is super old school. No one, unless you're like from TV around that time, like Rob or familiar with Big Brother like Derrick, is really going to know game about Danielle. So she's going to be able to work her magic. I think Bob is such a big personality that he will be able to hold court and do his thing. And I also felt the same way about Carolyn. I'm like, Carolyn is, you didn't watch her in Survivor, but her biggest strength is being underestimated, and she makes the
I feel like it's
decision that
happening
is
again.
always for sure. And she's always going to make the decision that is in her best interest. She's never afraid to make a shot. Does she get the respect? I don't know, but like she's always going to do what she needs to do, whether it's in a crappy fashion or not. And I thought that unpredictability is the perfect predictability for me because it's like, yeah, I can watch Tony or Derrick or any of these other big dogs do it, but it's like I've seen that already. I haven't gotten to see these other people do it yet, so why not? You know, it is great. I'm perfectly super happy. I love mess. I think season 1 would be as great as it was. And tell me if I'm talking too much. As great as season 1
No.
was, it got slow towards the end, and I got so
Yeah.
bored with it because it was so
Well, I felt the
obvious, you
same way
know.
about
So I'm
season 2.
happy. I
I'm
agree
happy
with you.
too.
I agree with you.
I actually agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I feel like seeing the chaotic gameplay of these 3 traitors just from the first episode, it was chaos.
Mhm.
And then seeing them actually act as traitors, we are seeing something that we've never really seen before from the traitors. So I'm loving it because it just gives the game a different feel. Like again, I don't want to get so far. Well, we'll talk about the turret and the murders when we get there, but let's
Yeah.
switch gears to after everybody takes their masks off and we see Tom Sandoval just glaring at everybody. This guy's a mess, by the way. Like mess in a bad way. Like he's obviously coming down from something, tweaking. I don't know what's going on, but like the sweat of what and that's season 2, that's episode 2, but like his
Oh
face
my
is
god, his
sweaty.
sweaty
He's
shirt.
swearing, he's staring at everybody. Everybody's like, what is this weirdo?
Yeah.
I'm excited for the inevitable, and I hope it's epic crash and burn of Tom Sandoval. But he's already given so much weird energy in just the first few episodes that like I'm like, all right. I mean, I'm not mad that he got cast because like we would never have the sweaty pits if we didn't have him on the show.
For someone who is unfamiliar with Tom, I think he is hysterical, and it's not even on purpose because he's
It's not
such a
on purpose.
mess.
Yeah.
And those are my people. I love it. I listen. Who would be this person last year? Would it be Bergie? I don't know who this would be, but like I didn't know Bergie coming in, and Bergie was a hot ass mess, and it just worked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think this also just worked. I need Tom to be here for the whole season because he's going to come with his horrible reads, his sweaty armpits, and he's going to give me the clips and memes that I need for this season. You need a hot ass mess, and that is Tom.
Yeah.
You know,
He is the messiest hot mess.
I do think he's tweaking that. Like he's not on. Like I'm not going to over speculate. I'm not these sort of users. I do think he is on like some kind of drugs. Usually, I can tell like there's symptoms there. But outside of that, like it feels like I'm watching Jackson Mickey when he was going through his withdrawal. So it's not good.
Very much.
But
very much.
This guy, I think he's great. I think he's hilarious. TV gold. Me personally. Listen, I came up with Jersey Shore. I love mess. Okay.
I love it.
Just
still waiting for a rewatch podcast. Yes.
I'm down. We'll talk about it.
Listen, I am a Tom Sandoval certified hater, but I will never say the man doesn't make good TV. I will never say it. I think he's a garbage person, but he makes good television. That doesn't mean I'm a supporter of his, but I'm here to watch everybody get pissed at him. I'm here to watch him flame out at the roundtables. I'm here to watch his sweaty pits.
He's a guy you love to hate. That's great.
He is a guy you love to hate. I actually almost think you love to hate him more than Jax Taylor because Jax Taylor is just like, Tom is just more embarrassing. Like he's embarrassing, and it's fun to watch someone embarrass themselves on TV. And I have a feeling we're gonna get a lot of that.
in the Scottish skirt too. Like I was just like,
right,
hilarious, man.
What a mess. And he's so wrong. Even after, so he just like grills everybody in the room. He picks out Chriselle, which is very hard to say because there was a Trishelle obviously last season and a Chriselle this season, but he immediately picks her out, and then she goes on to tell us that she's friends with Ariana Madix, who is Tom's ex from Vanderpump Rules, who is just like on the ultimate come up of come ups. And she thinks it's like a personal vendetta against her, which knowing Tom from TV for 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. But he's like throwing her name out to everybody. And then you see him sitting with Danielle and Carolyn both at the same time while neither one of them knows that the other one is a traitor. And he's like, I feel so good about both of you. Like, you guys are 100% faithfuls. Like, I trust you guys 100%. And he's just so wrong. At all times, this guy is just wrong.
And that's my type of guy. I think he is going to be amazing this season. Listen, I love people who are wrong and funny at the same time. I don't like Andy type of wrong because she's not funny. Quentin, on the other hand, I found
Quentin was funny. Quentin was funny.
He was hilarious, bro.
Unintentionally funny. Yeah, totally.
He reminds me of Howie Gordon. Like this is what Tom. That's his name. Tom. He reminds me of Howie Gordon. There you go.
I love Jedi Howie. That's Jedi Howie, right?
Yep.
Big Brother. Yeah. Okay. I don't know the man's last name, but so Tony's also feeling a little bit sussed out by Chriselle. He was saying she was questioning him and saying like, I need your help. I think she was kind of just like flirting with him a little bit in like a way to like getting good with him, and he was just like, whoa, like being Tony about it. I don't know. There's also some nervousness around Carolyn's energy. People are already into episode 1 being like, I don't know, she's so unpredictable. She's like all over the place. I don't really know what to do with her, which is a good thing for her, I think. I think it's going to work out in her favor.
That's literally just how she is, and that's going to be so dangerous, which is why I said, don't let this girl be a traitor, because you're never going to be able to read her face. Like, she is just out there. That's just Carolyn, you know? So
right.
She's going to be a force to be reckoned with this season.
I think so too. Let's get to this mission. This mission really gave me a lot of rage for a lot of reasons. First of all, I've seen it already. It happened in the UK, which the UK is a week ahead of the US. They started on New Year's Day, and we always get the same missions every single time. So it's like, I just can't believe that we're already seeing this mission. And 90% of the cast, that's not true math. A large portion of the cast is safe because of this mission, which I don't love that right away. I feel like limiting the traitors immediately is not really the best. But I will say I love their matching outfits. But I don't need Wells and Ivar steering this like whole thing of no, we just got to get the women off the boat. We need the men on the boat. We got to get the women off the boat. 2 girls get off the boat. 2 girls get off the boat. 2 girls get off the boat, which like this happens all the time in games, but no one like outwardly says it. And let me say this right now. I go to Orange Theory multiple times a week, and there's a lot of rowing in Orange Theory, and you don't need biceps to row. You just need a good form, just like Gabby said, and it's actually a lot in the legs, and it's hard as fuck. And you saw Tom Sandoval being like, my forearms, I'm so tired. And they're like, Tom, take a break. And Tom is pretty jacked as a dude. Like, he has a lot of muscles. It's not going to get you anywhere if your form is bad. So, like, these dudes don't know anything, and it's kind of bullshit. Nikki is a wrestler. She's a professional athlete. I just think it's so short-sighted to be like, get off the boat, girls. Go girlies, let's go.
See, I actually love this. I love this challenge though, because this, well, not for reasons you think. But I think that this is doing what I used to love about Survivor and Big Brother, where it doesn't focus on the physicality per se, even though they try to make it like that. But what it does is it affects the dynamics of the house. It's kind of like an icebreaker, and it's forcing people to form opinions on each other. And you know, I think it's interesting where a lot of people who end up angry about dropping, it's like, you didn't have to drop. You know, there's plenty of people who get shit for it, like Tony or you know, anyone else, Ivor or whatever. But it's like, you guys are allowing this to happen. You don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the type like Dr. Will, where it's like, if I lose money, we all lose money. So someone else is going to have to go. If you're watching Mr. Beast games, they're doing the same thing, where there's challenges where it's like, if in order for everyone here to stay, someone has to drop, and like people who are like not really like with it or strong-minded are dropping. It's like, why are you just doing this? Like, there's no morals. There's no morals in these games. You know what I'm saying? So I love it. And it forces a bottom to want to rebel. It forces sides. I love the drama. It's given. I usually skip the challenges, but I have to watch it for this podcast. I liked it. It's way better than the other ones. I don't, you know.
Well, I will agree with you. I think the outcome of the challenge was great. I think even in the UK, it caused drama. So I think the output of the challenge is great. I think as someone who would be playing the game, I'm putting myself in that mindset, I would be pissed at these dudes. Like, Ivar, who the fuck are you? You're some random British guy. Like, who cares? You're like the 7th cousin of someone that's like an archaic monarch that doesn't even matter, like a figurehead who actually cares. But like, I also just feel like the housewives are so dumb, because they did this challenge in the UK. Obviously, it's airing now. Nobody knew that. But you don't have to get off. No one has to get off. They can leave and not get the money, which is exactly what happened at the end, where they just like, no one's going to get off. You don't have to volunteer and immediately get up. But I think, you know, everybody's like, oh, these housewives, they got off. They might be traitors. Like, no, they're actually just kind of dumb.
And we saw Bob try to call it out too, which was cool. But
I actually love that from Bob.
Yeah. But like it brought such a fun scene too, where you're having Bob and Danielle just sit there acting like they're not traitors, and it's like you're both traitors. Like
And they
it's
don't
gonna be
even
fun to
know.
see the reveal.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was great. You know, I thought it gave me a lot of moments that I needed instead of just watching them run into the woods, get a puzzle piece, and run back. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
I
No,
would
that
have
is
been
boring.
so bored. Or swimming, and I hated the challenges in season 1. By the way, I
The
just couldn't do
challenges are
it.
the
So huge
worst part
upgrade
of the
for me.
show. No, I agree. I'm
Agreed.
happy that the challenges are impacting the game. I just do feel like giving safety to that many people so early is, like, a little too soon.
Yeah.
But I like the mess. I like the arguments that came from it. What I liked in this version is that they left the people on the pontoon. We've said pontoon, like, 700 times in the episode, the Traitors episode.
Hmm.
And they didn't get to go back with them, and then these messy, inconsiderate people all got glammed back up and then ate all the dinner and barely left them any dinner while they were sitting out there to sacrifice themselves and wait. What did you think about this whole situation? After
Like I
those
love
people
it.
sacrificed themselves and they didn't even go and get all the money.
I love it. I mean, it's pretty fucked up that they didn't leave him any food for sure. I've been pissed.
Same.
But as a viewer, I think it's great. Like I know that this is going to start a war potentially. I'm very upset that no one got called out for eating all the food. That would have been fantastic. But you know, like I said, this forces people to get out of kumbaya mode and be like, it's time to play. I thought Danielle was great, where she's acting all pissed off and then she's laughing in the other room. I like it. Yeah. Eventually, the girl that she does get eliminated, Dolores, right?
Dorinda.
I loved her blow up. Dorinda, I loved her blow up. I
We
thought that
were robbed.
we
We were
lost her.
robbed.
Yeah, we lost her
Robbed.
too soon. Too soon.
Robbed. I know. We'll get there because as we talked about on Monday, I gave a pretty not extensive, but she's drunk, she's angry, she holds grudges. She would have been Roundtable gold. You guys thought
Yeah,
Phaedra was great? She is great. Dorinda would have been just like unhinged in a way that you've never seen at a Roundtable, and we didn't even get to experience it. And I am angry because we got to see a snippet of it with her and Ivar in the kitchen, and where Dylan is like, well, we were just really tired. And she's like, oh, you're tired? We sacrificed ourselves and we're probably going to die tonight, but you were tired and you want to row? Like, there's nothing anybody in that room could have said. And she is relentless in that way. If you watch her on Housewives, like, she doesn't let things go. She just like pokes the bear, pokes the bear, pokes the bear. And I'm so upset because you could tell she was holding grudges and we would have gotten to see it play out. And these traitors robbed us of it. They really did.
they did, unfortunately. But here we are.
Yeah, I know. It's disappointing. Well, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but that's okay. Let's go to the traitor turret. I do actually, before we do that, I do want to talk a little bit about Danielle's acting because we're seeing a lot of acting from Danielle this season. And I think she thinks she's doing a really good job with the acting. And I think she might be one of the few that think that. I don't think everybody's buying what she's selling. When she's
I
getting off that
think
boat, she's like, just go. Just go. I was like, please, Danielle, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
I feel like it was good when people don't really know her like that.
Mm,
But then when it got to a point where like, and obviously I'm jumping ahead, but when you do it too many times, eventually people are going to be like, where are your tears at? Like, what are you doing here?
yeah.
I don't want to drag Danielle too much, but like I said, don't embarrass me. We'll get to there. We'll get there.
Okay.
But yeah, too much.
Well, this is just one of the first of many acting
Yeah.
jobs from Danielle that we have seen. But let's get to the traitor turret. So this is a mess. The whole show is a mess so far in the best way. Bob and Danielle are the first two up there. They take off their hoods. They're like excited. They're jumping up and down. They spent all that time on that pontoon together, not knowing the other one was a traitor, as you said. And then they come in, they find out that they're traitors. Then comes Carolyn. The vibes shift a little bit. Immediately, you can kind of tell that Bob and Danielle are not super excited to see Carolyn. I don't know if anybody would have been super excited to see Carolyn, but these two are
No.
definitely not psyched.
I'm telling you, and I feel like I'm gonna repeat this a couple times. This season of the Traitors feels like everyone just came in here and played the same exact way that they did on their shows. Carolyn is just not everyone's cup of tea. But
Yep.
she knows how to work with the camera. She got pumped out like crazy in Survivor. She's getting pumped out crazier too. But
Yeah.
just like Survivor, she's just not, she's not in. That's just the thing about Cam. She's an oddball.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad for her, but she knows who she is, so it's all good.
Exactly.
This is really the first time we're seeing traitors not at least like pretend to get along with each other. It's night one. It's murder number one, and they're already arguing. And Carolyn, the goal here, they only have a few people that they can murder. It's the people that sacrifice themselves. It's all 4 housewives. It's Sam, Mr. Britney Spears, former Mr. Britney Spears, Bob, the drag queen, Bob Harper, and one other person that I don't remember because it's 8 people. There's one other that I don't remember who it was, but it's not that big of a deal. Tom? No, not Tom. Whatever. It's not a big deal. So
okay. Well,
no, he didn't sacrifice himself.
All right. Well,
yeah, it'll come to me. They decide to go for one of the housewives. Bob says that the housewives are an infestation. They have to get rid of them. I find this interesting, and I'm not offended as a Bravo fan. I don't want to say I was more Bravo last season because I didn't really the only one I was rooting for was Phaedra, but I do feel like this crop of housewives specifically is kind of dumb. I don't think Ayana's dumb. I think she doesn't care. I don't think she knows what show she signed up for. I think she came just to be on TV and have cute outfits and be funny. I think Robin is loud and wrong and dumb and stubborn. And I think Dolores is like very naive and doesn't really know what she signed up for. Dorinda is the only one I think has a little bit of a mind for this. So probably getting rid of Dorinda from like a gameplay standpoint is a good decision, especially if you don't want her on your ass. Her on your ass. But they're like, we're gonna frame the housewives as if the housewives are going against each other. What did you think about this strategy? Because I feel like there's other bigger threats to get rid of before the housewives, especially this group of housewives.
I would have did the same exact thing, and I think I said that in the draft. Because I really do think that Phaedra and her pack of whatever that clique was, where with MJ and Larsa and who else is in there?
Tamra,
that whole
Sheree.
group. Tamra, Sheree.
Well, Sheree and Phaedra are friends from years.
Regardless, I don't think you need to be the most game savvy to realize that group of women were just like undeniably loyal to each other no matter what the facts were, and they didn't care. And I think that was super dangerous going towards the end of that game because they steamrolled a good portion of season 2, just staying loyal and not voting against each other. And I don't think you need to be the most game savvy in the Traitors. I think that at least in the early portion, that numbers is power. Mm-hmm. And if you allowed them or the Survivor collectives to just steamroll with the votes, you're in some danger, So I personally, it doesn't even matter what this group of housewives have proven or done this season. Just coming off of the previous season, it's like you need to get rid of that. Just like Dan coming into last season was like, I need to take care of Phaedra because of what Sari was doing. Now this one is like, I need to take care of the housewives because of what last year's housewives are doing. Mm-hmm. It's all, it's just a transfer of the perception from the previous year. That's all it is. But I would have done the same thing if I was a trader. I'd be like, housewives need to go. One of them need to get out of here. Back to back is a little OD, but at least one of them need to go first. I was fully with that. I think they picked the wrong one. But
I think so too. Well, that's what I want to talk to you about. So it came down to being between Robin and Dorinda. I also think the thought of like framing the housewives against each other, probably not. I just don't think, and again, maybe this comes from just being a Bravo fan. Yeah, like I just don't think they think that way or operate that way. Like I think they would just pick random people they wouldn't think about it in that way. I do think eventually this group would have probably gone against each other because I don't think any of them are close like that, except for maybe Dorinda and Dolores. But Ayana's like a newbie. She only had 2 seasons. She's in Dubai. She's not local. Like she doesn't really know anybody, which is why you saw her say like Wells is the only one in the house I care about. Like she wasn't connecting with those housewives. And Robin is just like on her own. No one, she's just a snooze. So I do think Carolyn though was absolutely right in this, that like Dorinda's the wrong one. She's a shield. She will take herself out. She will bury her. She would keep all the attention on her and all the attention off them. And I think it ended up for now working out. We'll see what happens. But like Robin, inconsequential. Dolores, inconsequential. Why you would get rid of the loudest, angriest one in the middle of a feud that would get themselves voted out anyway doesn't really seem to make sense to me. Seems like you kind of agree because you said they chose the wrong one.
Yeah, I would have picked, looking at it, maybe Robin. I just think that what was her name again?
Dolores or Dorinda?
Dorinda.
I think Dorinda
could have. Yeah, I think she could have been an easy like Kate 2.0. Like I don't think that she's game savvy, and she would have just been fighting with people all season. So definitely a misplay there. But hey, what are you gonna do? I mean, also, I think she's obviously not a traitor, so I can see the reasoning, because it's like, why would we ever vote her? Because she's not a traitor. Just like they never voted MJ because she's not a traitor. So like, I get it, but still, I just think too soon, too early.
Yeah, I think there's value in keeping people who are obviously faithfuls if they are like erratic, and like she wouldn't come for them as long as they stayed out of her way. She's going to go for people that wrong her, and that's Ivar, that's maybe Dylan, that's going to be someone else eventually, but it's probably not going to be the two of them. So I don't know. I think eventually it would have paid off for them to keep Dorinda. I think it would have paid off for us to have Dorinda on the show because she's TV gold, but it is what it is. They decided to kill her. Something that this is like, I don't want to say foreshadowing of, but like the first time we really see is Carolyn not getting taken seriously by Danielle and Bob taking Danielle's side. They definitely do not vibe, Danielle and Carolyn. Like Carolyn's trying to talk. She's over talking Danielle. Danielle's over talking her. Danielle and Bob are both like, we got to think 20 steps ahead. And I actually agree with Carolyn. You don't know how to play this game. You've never played this game. Rachel even just said it, like it's all dependent on the people you're cast with, and like you can't go in, you can't give people advice. So you just kind of have to play based on like the moment. You can't plan out every step of this game because you don't know how people are going to react. You don't know what people are going to screw up and what they're going to say and what they're not going to say. I don't know. I think Carolyn is really onto something, and I think she's going to outlast the two of them for sure. And you can kind of see it. They both of them, their names are already out there.
I didn't think the first vote was that deep, because I think their goal, which is also valid, is let's cause as much confusion as possible. And if you take her out, I mean, it's like there's so many people. It's like, yeah, I don't really know who would do that. So, I mean, I don't think it's as deep as Carolyn made it seem, but the reasoning is there. I still do agree with her. It just like, I don't know. It's more so the second and third votes where I'm kind of like questioning, where are you guys doing? But this vote, I didn't really care too much. Danielle is definitely like being a little control freak here. I will say that. But
yeah,
whatever. I really feel like that was more so Bob more than anything. But yeah, I don't think that it was that deep. I think the show did like edit it a little more. We didn't get a Carolyn confessional complaining about it either, so I don't think it mattered too much.
That is true. That is true. Before this episode is over, because the murder actually happens in episode 2, we jumped ahead a little bit, but before this episode is over, we do find out Boston Rob's back, baby. Who could have saw it coming? We all could have. We knew they were going to bring Boston Rob out just to tell him to go away. So Boston Rob back in the show, and he's a traitor, which seems like they're framing it as like a consequence of the actions of him not getting voted in or brought in. Are you excited to have Boston Rob here? Are you excited to have Boston Rob as a traitor? Are you excited to have 4 traitors? That's a lot of traitors.
Are we talking about just Rob or like the other two as well?
Well, in this instance, I'm talking about Rob, but the other 2, I'm curious your thoughts too on just like late editions in general, because I don't know if I like this. Okay, we could wait.
I love Rob I love Rob getting in because him as well as the other two, and I'll say that for them. I felt like the moment they entered the game, the difficulty and vibe of the season shifted drastically, and I love it. I think that Rob specifically brings a sense of competitiveness that wasn't there before. And even though I do see like Bob and Danny and Carolyn being a little sloppy, I felt like it was just like a little too safe. You know, like I just feel like they felt safe. They didn't feel like anyone was capable of catching them. I didn't feel like anyone was capable of catching all three of them, and I felt like they could have easily just walked to the end. It was like at least two of them. So I think that Rob being a traitor shakes things up. I do think he did something in episode 3 I didn't expect. We'll get to that at some point. But yeah, I like. Listen, I have respect for Rob. A lot of people hate him because of his strategy, but I have respect for him. I think he's a great player. You know, so I was good with it.
Well, this is where I have to come in and say, obviously, I was a hater on Monday in our draft. I still drafted him, which I'm happy about, sort of. And I found myself last night feeling so, when I was watching the show, like conflicted with my emotions because I went in being so excited for Danielle, and I still am, but like she's giving me Dan last season because I was so excited for Dan, and then like the gameplay was just not what I wanted. The gameplay from Danielle is not what I want. I don't think she's doing a great job, and I'm worried about her. And I actually would have rather seen her maybe play as a traitor, as a faithful, because then I feel like she wouldn't be doing all this and would actually be like playing a little bit more strategically and fun, where now I just feel like she's doing a lot of overacting. She's kind of doing a lot of control freak stuff, like you said. She's over talking. I don't think it's going to end well for her, and I wanted her to do well, and I think putting her as a traitor actually set her up to fail. I'm kind of excited to see Rob come in as a traitor because I feel like he's going to snatch them up and clean up the mess. And I like the mess. I'm excited about the mess, but I'm excited to see a player play, and Rob's a player.
I think Cheyenne said this last time too. I think Danielle's getting like a lot of people are dropping Danielle stock. What I think I said this. I'm like, Danielle's going to do a series of things this season that are going to piss a lot of people off, and I'm prepared for it. And I knew it. It's like everyone, especially with Big Brother, Survivor a little bit, but Big Brother specifically, have these ideas of these players that played over 20 years ago, and they've been carrying these sediments over all the way till now. And it's like, if Reindeer Games didn't show you, it's like these are not the same players, but they're still great at what they do. And it's just a different era, different game. You know, Cody was amazing in Big Brother, and people think he's terrible because he did bad in the Traitors. It's like, this is not the same game. You know what I'm saying? So
amazing, but
I thought it was amazing. All right, listen, he went to the final twice. He's great, but besides the point, Danny is still amazing at what she does. But I said this in the draft. Danny also does a lot, even in her original season and in All Stars. Danny does too much. I think people forget that Danny was this close to being the first boot in All Stars 1. I think people forget the amount of crap that Danny got into in season 3. Danny does that, you know, but it just works with certain casts. And I think it's not over for Danny. I just think that people are on her scent a little bit. That's all. But who cares? Like, look, I'm happy. I don't need these people to play perfect, amazing games for me to appreciate. I'm getting Danielle Reyes and Dr. Will back in 2025.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what the hell? And Derrick Levesque, like, I'm happy. Okay. I love the little laughs and smirks to the cameras. I don't need her to be perfect, you know? So it is what it is there.
I don't need her to be perfect either. And like I said, she's my second favorite Big Brother player after Dr. Will. That's not going to change based on her Traitors appearance. But I want to root for her, and I want to be able to root for her, and she's making it very hard for me to be able to root for her because I just feel like she's doing
you want to know why?
Too much.
Because everyone talked shit on Dan last year, and they wanted to laugh and kiki, and now they got to hold that same energy to their favorite Danielle. And they're look, it sucks. I know everyone wanted to talk shit on Dan. Look, this is the game. It's a different game. Now everyone got to keep that same energy, and it sucks.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Big Brother players are not that good at this game. I will say I have a feeling Derrick is going to be very good at this game, which also pains me to say because
I
I'm not a
agree.
Derrick fan, but I do think that Derrick is going to be very good at this.
How you're not a Derrick fan? You never even seen his season.
I just don't like Derrick.
You're just a
I don't
hater.
like Derrick.
You're
I don't
just a
like Derrick. I don't
hater.
like Cody. I don't like either one of them. They're not my people. It's fine. I am a hater. I'll say it. I'm a hater.
See, people like
But
you,
I think he's going to be
Katie, y'all
good at the
haven't even-
game.
Why do you hate you? You don't even have a reason to hate him. You just don't like him because everyone else hates him.
He's just not my people. Okay, that's it.
There, see, I clocked your tick. I got you. Good.
Anyway, different podcast. But we see Dorinda's murdered. We go into breakfast. This is where I'm getting like what's going on with Bob and Danielle both crying at breakfast when you don't even know this woman. What are you crying about? If you were Faithfuls, you don't know this woman.
Some people are criers, I guess.
No, come on. That was immediately
I'm not,
too much.
but
Too much.
I felt like Bob was actually crying. Danny, I didn't see any tears from, but Bob was actually sad. But he said in his confession, "I'm actually sad, but I don't care." He was emotional. Danny was doing a little too much. Though. I ain't going
too much. Too much.
Yeah.
To me, if I like to think, I mean, I don't know, obviously I haven't played the game, but if I were there and I'm like, you just met this woman like yesterday and you should be happy that it's not you. So like, what are you crying about? Especially Bob and Danielle, because they were up to be banished being on those pontoons. So like, you should be happy to be in there and not cry, whatever. Like we said, Dorinda was taken from us way too soon. I think we got a total of 4 Make It Nice, Bluestone Manor things that she alluded to for My Housewives people. So she delivered on that, which we thought she would. And then, the chaos kind of starts, which is what they wanted. That's what the Traitors wanted. And that's what they got. People immediately started suspecting Ivor because they got into an argument. Tom Sandoval actually played right into the hands of the Traitors and said, I think a housewife is murdering another housewife to get the scent off the housewife. So I think a housewife is a traitor. And we get a moment after the breakfast where Robin throws out Will's name a little bit in the whatever that room is, the room where they have breakfast. And someone is like, maybe Bob the drag queen. She's like, definitely not Bob the drag queen. There's no way. So Robin is under Bob's spell. But we get this moment between Wells and Robin. And I want your thoughts on this because I can kind of see both sides of it. And I thought they were both being really stubborn. But Robin does this thing where she gets very smug and she's like, and like, I don't know. She seems like the most annoying type of person to argue with. And we saw it play out too at the Roundtable. But what did you think about this interaction where like she was like, this was a genius move. And Wells was like, actually, I don't agree. I think it was kind of dumb because Dorinda would have taken herself out. What did you think about this back and forth between Robin and Wells?
I actually fuck with Robin. I think she's very entertaining. But regardless of both wrong, I mean, I'm watching this show and I enjoy her on the show. But I think they're both wrong because they are both incorrect about who the traitors are. So it doesn't really matter. But I do think I don't know. I think Robin, Wells as well, but Robin specifically, just need to learn to like stop talking in front of everybody because it just susses everybody out. I don't know why they keep doing it.
Yep, I agree. They're both doing a little too much and both just getting defensive and stubborn. Like they were both being stubborn. Like they both needed the last word. They both couldn't just let it go and be like, oh, interesting.
Exactly.
But Robin came in a little bit like, so why'd you murder Dorinda? Like she immediately accused Wells. So I get why he was like, what are you talking about? Okay, so we get this mission. We can kind of speed through this mission because it was actually pretty lame. This was also in the UK, I will say, and they did not bring in all 3 people. They only brought in 2 people who got the most coins and the other person had to leave. So I thought it was interesting that from the jump, we knew all 3 people were coming in. Obviously, they got paid to be there. They're reality stars. They want all 3. But it kind of took the excitement out of the mission because all it was about getting the money. So who really cares? But
it was the shields.
And the shields. But everybody's getting the shields too, right? No matter what. So
I don't know. The shield actually came back in episode 3. It came back.
No, I know. But like the shields would have come into the game with the people anyway.
Got it.
So like
Copy.
there was the mission was kind of a little bit of a flop for me. But basically they had to go into the woods, find coins. Derrick, Wes, and Boston Rob are hanging from cages, and then or inside cages from trees, and they just had to like fill their little cylinder with coins to lower the cages down, and then they got out. We saw a lot of people sucking up to Rob. A lot of people sucking up to Rob. We saw Danielle and Tom Sandoval for some reason giving Derrick a lot of coins, and nobody giving Wes any coins until Wells started giving Wes coins, and then Wes was the last one to get the coins. I thought it was interesting that everybody was sucking up to Rob. They all realized, I guess, they kind of blew it by not allowing him in the game, but then that would have meant one of them was in the cage, probably. So, what did you think about this mission and just the order of things and how everybody was acting?
I think everybody knows who Rob is, not only because of the reveal and the twist, but also I'm sure more people are familiar with Rob since he's been on more shows. Derrick holds a little bit of weight afterwards. I don't think a lot of people knew who Derrick or Wes were, because Derrick has played one season, and Wes. Listen, no disrespect to the challenge community, but y'all have no real clout outside of the few who go on like House of Villains and other shows. Like
Wes is one of them.
Bananas, and that's what I'm saying. Wes, Bananas, and CT are some of the few that are just
those are the Mount
break
Rushmore
the mold and tear the
missing
wall down.
one.
Yeah.
Those are
Like
the
I
two
wouldn't
most
even know these people if it weren't for like these appearances, you know. So I mean, he said it himself. He was like, none of these Bravo people are going to know who I am, and the people who do know me, they're going to be fearful. I don't think anyone was fearful of Wes. To be fair,
Wes, what you have to know about Wes, I don't know if you know his personality, but he has a huge ego, but it's like joking. So you'll get a lot of that from Wes. Yeah, he's a total troll.
He's talking shit. So it's like, but regardless, for those who did know them, it's like these are all three of these guys are respectfully like probably like top 3, top 5 conversations for their franchises, respectfully. So it's like it's a big deal, and I felt like as a viewer, the whole show just shifted, and like people who I felt like were strong players didn't feel like strong players anymore, and I loved it. I'm like, the show needed this because I was about to say like, is it just like Dummies Island? Like, what's going on here? You know, like, I can't wait to talk about Derrick and Wes and Rob a little bit later, but I'm happy. I like the challenge because of the confessional specifically. We got to see that Derrick and Brittany have a little bit of beef. I'm sure Brittany probably just talks shit online or something. I just like seeing the insights, like finding out that Dylan was like a fan of all these people was very fun. I'm like, oh, this guy knows ball. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it felt low stakes, like very different from the first challenge, just because obviously safety was on the line, and like safety's on the line here too, but not for that day. Well, I guess technically, if they get whoever gets shields, but I mean, it was easy. It was fine. Everybody got down. The 3 entered the game as we knew they were going to. I'm really excited to see Wes. I really love Wes. I think Wes is a total clown. Shout out to Naomi. And I am excited to see Wes without challenge people and with other gamers that are like I don't say at the same caliber, because I think the challenge isn't as strategic, obviously, as Big Brother or Survivor, but Wes is probably the most strategic, in my opinion, challenge player. Like, he's always gaming, whether or not it's a physical challenge or not. He's always trying to talk about strategy, always gaming. And I'm very excited to see how he games with other people, which we saw in this episode. And I really liked what he was doing, trying to get in with the Survivor crew. But 3 more dudes in the castle.
I mean, who
a
else
lot of dude energy. Listen, a lot of dude energy in this castle.
In fairness, who else are you going to ask? All the other people they want are under the bullshit CBS contract. They can't. Nicole doesn't want to play anything right now. She said that. Taylor was asked, but she's under that stupid contract. And everyone else is new. You know, they're not going to get Vanessa Russo. They're not going to go get Tiffany. She's under contract. They can't get anybody. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Carolyn is the first new school person to be on the show. I think that we're slowly going to start seeing more people like that. So we'll have to just wait a little bit. But
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, like, what we burnt Rachel, we already burnt Brittany, we already burnt Janelle. Like,
Yeah.
we're running out of options
Sandra,
here at this
Harv,
point. There's no one else. Yeah, there's no one else.
Suri. Yeah, no, it's true. So the guys are in. Pretty much everybody is like, I'm not gonna. Pretty much Derrick and Rob both are like, I don't care who's putting coins in my thing. It's not buying me loyalty. I'll do what I got to do. Like, it really doesn't matter. I don't really care, which I like. I like that energy. Derrick, Rob, and Wes are safe from banishment, and they are all also safe from murder, but they cannot vote at the round table, which I think makes sense. And their shields don't get given out until after the round table, which I also like. They get a chance to observe a little bit and see what's going on. I think, let's see, Tom immediately, once they get back to the manor or the castle, starts giving incorrect information. And one of my favorite confessionals was Wes just saying, like, this guy's just giving propaganda. He's like, doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's basically saying Bob and Carolyn are obviously faithfuls and Jeremy and Chriselle are traitors. So Tom is just completely off base.
Yeah, Tom, like I said, he's a mess, but I'm here for it with the sweat marks and everything. I don't need Tom to be good. I just need a good time from Tom.
I know. I feel like we didn't give the sweat marks enough discussion. There's not really much else to say, but everybody else was dressed in like blazers, jackets, big outfits, a lot of clothing. No one else seemed hot. But why is Tom up, walking around, tweaking out, standing behind people, can't sit still, all fidgety, sweating from every pore of his body? I don't really understand. I mean, I understand, but like, come on, man. What are we doing?
He's got the sweat.
What is your life? What is your life, dude?
He's withdraw,
yeah,
man.
It's rough. So we get back to the castle, and before the round table, it's pretty much a scramble. Nobody knows who they're voting for. Nobody knows who's a traitor. We have a couple of names out there. We have Ivar from like the house size Dorinda banishment. Few people are throwing out Wells's name. I think Jeremy is one who says Wells is acting a little weird. And then Robin. A few people don't trust Robin, Wells and Dylan specifically. So those are really the three names coming in at the round table. Danielle also doing a lot with Derrick, and she's asking for the shield, and she's like, they're going to use Brittany and frame it on me, or Brittany's either a traitor, she's going to murder me. And I'm like, Danielle, please just take a breath. Like, you don't, just be chill. Just be chill. You don't have to do all that.
I think Danielle and Derrick, they do have somewhat of a friendship and respect for each other.
Yeah, it seems like that.
I don't think she was doing too much. I think he was actually going to give it to her up until like the last second. They seem friends. It seems like Derrick trusts Danielle. Like, I don't mind that. I don't think Danielle's doing too much till the next episode. Personally, I didn't mind the shield selections. I thought that Wes did the right thing, and who's the other person with the shield? Rob, interesting selection with his shield too. I did like what he did as well.
Especially given
what he did later.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah. Derrick though specifically is playing chess. And
sure,
I feel like people are going to hate this season because Derrick once again is about to force the entire internet to give him his flowers. And like, I'm not the biggest Derrick guy, but everyone hates Derrick. And I'm about to go on a small little thing. Everyone hates Derrick because he's boring TV. I get it, right? But he's not problematic. They hate that he's a cop too. I'm in the park that my grandfather's a cop, so it's like I don't hate all cops. I think it's a case by case basis. He ain't problematic as far as I've seen. He's boring. He talks a lot of shit, but he backs it up. And my problem with him was that he wasn't going on anything, and he's just proved me wrong. So I'm like, all right, I'm back on the Derrick train. And if he does good this season, he's about to force a lot of people to have to talk good about him again, and they don't like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm interested to see what he wants. I wanted Derrick to come in here and be a traitor. I mean, no, a faithful, because I think he could be the ultimate faithful as a cop. I wanted to see Cop Stars 3.0 with him and Tony. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that. But I want to see what Derrick does. His YouTube channel is literally him breaking down investigations every day. Like this is what he does.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he has a very successful YouTube channel. It's like one of those crime channels or whatever. So I want to see what he does. We did not get to see this on Big Brother. I want to see Detective Derrick do his thing, and he's doing it. So I'm hyped. But go ahead.
No, listen, I was not excited when I found out Derrick was going to be on the show, but I will say watching, like I said, same thing about Rob. I'm not a Rob fan, but I enjoy
Yeah.
people who are good at playing the game actually play the game. Exactly the reason why I'm really excited about Parv on Deal or No Deal Island. When people are in their element and they're playing really well, it's really fun to watch. Like, it's watching Suri was very exciting to watch. You could say it was boring because she snowballed, but like, she was great at what she did. Rob, I think, is going to be good at this. And I think Derrick, to your point, I think a lot of people are going to be upset about it. I'll give his credit where credit's due. If he gives us a good traitor game, a faithful game, and he susses everybody out and we actually get to see like his detective skills at work, like, I'm here for it. It's going to be exciting to watch. Whether or not
I think even with his winning game in 16, people just hate the impact that it did on the game for a while.
Yeah.
But it's like people will hate on Derrick and then give flowers to like people like Suri or Chelsea for the same exact thing that Derrick did in my book. And it's just like, you know, I get one's more likable than the other, but like at the end of the day, they're all doing the same thing. So it's like, as a game, as a fan of strategy, I appreciate what Derrick brings to the table. As a entertainment guy, though, I'm like, damn it. But like, I'm still here for it. We before these three came in the game, we were about to have a cast of dummies. Like, no one really had like strategy, like Tony and Jeremy stuff, but it's like they're good at like social game or like the more eccentric portion of strategy, not like pure strategy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and that's, like I said a few times, that's why I was excited to see Rob, because I was like, okay, now he's going to gather these people together. And I think Wes is going to do the same thing. I think Wes he's not talked about in the same way because the challenge is not strictly strategy, but he is the most strategic person on the challenge. And he was very strategic on House of Villains. If anybody watched season 2, one of the all-time greatest endings of that show, by the way. I don't know if you watched it, but like,
who won?
I'm not going to spoil, but Mr. Spectacular and Wes gave cinema in the finale. I mean, it was cinema. Even if you only watch the finale for Mr. Spectacular and Wes and their feud, because it was unreal television. It was unreal television. Jesse earned his paycheck at the end for sure.
Good.
Anyway, different podcast for another time. But let's get to the roundtable. If you watched and listened to our podcast last season, you know that I hate the song that they play, and people commented and hated on me for it. But let me tell you, the song is boring. Switch it up. The UK uses different songs every episode. Use a different song. This song sucks. Bob, the drag queen, starts off the roundtable because it seems like no one's speaking. It seems like everybody is like pretty quiet, and they keep saying that over and over again. So there must have been a lot of silence edited out. And Bob the drag queen throws Wes's name out. What do you think about Bob starting it off? Do you feel good about that?
I didn't care. Tommy Bracco said this thing for Big Brother, what was it, 21? He said the best thing you can do in these games is have an enemy. And I agree with that. I think if you look like you're playing a little sloppy, then people aren't going to think you're trying to play this perfect Traitors game that Suri did. So I didn't mind it, but could have been better. He could have waited a little bit longer before starting the combo. He's just too big of a personality. It's fun to watch, but in the game, he gets in his way a little bit too much for my liking.
Yeah, I'm starting to worry a little bit about Bob because of that exact reason. Like, I think he's going to really start to get in his own way. We kind of see it a little bit at the end, where maybe not the best decision to throw out Wells' name, especially if you're not going to vote for him. It's a little suspicious. We do also hear, well, let's talk about Wells and Robin a little bit before we jump to anybody else. Robin chimes in against Wells, and then we get a little back and forth with Wells and Robin again. And I was not expecting this from Robin. I'm shocked that we got her activated at the roundtable. I was expecting boring, sleepy Robin. I was expecting her to be a little bit more like Dolores, not really saying much. But what did you think about this back and forth continuation, I guess, of the back and forth between? It just feels like these two disagree about the move, and they're just like pointing fingers at each other and taking shots because they just don't agree with each other.
I think Robin is hilarious, and it's like she just has like a dry delivery, and you could tell she's extremely serious about whatever she's saying. I think she's funny. I like her. I'm a part of the Robin fan club personally.
Okay.
I
Okay.
love a dry hater.
There's a few out there, a few in the fan club.
Yeah, I am
Tom
one of them.
also, yeah, maybe you could be the leader of the fan club.
No.
Tom calls out, we'll see what happens the rest of the season. You never know. Tom starts to call out Chriselle and also Jeremy, which we saw nothing between Jeremy and Tom to make Tom think that Jeremy is a traitor. So I'm confused about where this is coming from. But Chriselle destroyed Tom here, and it was incredible. I loved every second of it.
It was very funny. A
It
lot
was
of
like a
just
masterclass.
bullshit. It was a lot of bullshit this first round.
The whole thing was kind of bullshit. Danielle started speaking up, pointing fingers at housewives, trying to frame Robin more than Dolores. We got some Ivar suspicion. The tension is thick. They all start like arguing with each other because no one's speaking. Sierra starts speaking up about Ivar. Carolyn starts talking, and then Sierra's just like, no, we just want you guys to say a name, and starts talking over Carolyn. Everyone's like, let Carolyn speak. And they're all just like fighting with each other. Like, these people don't like each other. I feel like this is the most, like, this cast has more hater energy for each other than like in season 1. It really was just like Rachel and Kate, and to an extent Brandy. But like in this season, I feel like nobody likes each other, and I love it. I love it.
It's either everyone doesn't like each other and they're vocal about it, or they're being very quiet about it, but they still don't like each other.
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy about it. I don't want people to be like, I love my Traitors cast members, like my
Yeah, me
my
too.
besties. Like, I don't need that. I want them to be hating each other.
No more
It makes
cruises.
it way more fun. Right. We don't need a cruise. We don't need a cruise.
God.
Well, we see the votes play out. We end in a tie. Well, almost ended a tie. 4 votes Wells, 4 votes Robin, 4 votes Ivar. That's the majority. But there are people burning votes, like Tom and Brittany voted Jeremy. Ayan voted Tony. There were a lot of like random, and Wells was just like, oh, these fucking burn votes. And I was just I loved it. Wells' energy at this whole roundtable, I actually wanted him to stay. Because I thought like I said, I liked his hater energy from the beginning. He was like not feeling being there. He was over it, and I wanted to watch him just be over it. But unfortunately, I wanted Ivar to go. Should have been Ivar. He's inconsequential.
I have a bias for the Lords. So
why? Oh, because is he on the draft?
I don't know. No, he's not. But I just think I don't know. I have an obsession with cringe people in these shows.
Okay, fair.
And I just think he's very hilarious. So I need Ivar here. I need him to have his TV moment before he leaves, and he hasn't given me it yet. So not yet.
I'm out on Ivar.
I was okay while I was leaving. I don't need Peter Pals 2.0. I need mess.
Well, Dylan's gonna give you Peter Pals 2.0. I hate to tell you. It's gonna be Dylan giving you Peter Pals, not Wells.
I don't know. I felt like Dylan was more like he's about to be Cody 2.0 or Philip Shepard 2.0.
We do kind of see
Rob
that.
Or Derrick. I think he's going to be for Rob though, not for Derrick, like everyone thinks.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting. I think that he said, I think it was the first episode, that he wants to like, I want to be a true faithful. Like, I want to play this game the way it's meant to be played, as a true faithful, which is, I hate hearing people say that. Like, stop right now. The show's called The Traitors, not The Faithfuls. And no one's rooting for the Faithfuls. I mean, maybe sometimes people are rooting for the Faithfuls, but not me. And
I'm sure they are, because they want to get that money.
I'm sure, but like, come on, man. I don't know. It's not fun. It's not fun TV. I don't need to see like a brigade of people trying to like, whatever. I don't want to rehash Peter Pals, but they made the show really not fun. And I don't want this show to become not fun, because I'm having a lot of fun so far. But anyway, after the roundtable, Wells is gone. He gives like a weird speech about like playing smart isn't actually smart, whatever. He's gone. And Ayana's sobbing. She's really upset. I feel bad for her. Like, she does say Wells is the only person I cared about, which is sad, because she is a housewife and there are 2 other housewives at this point in the house, some other Bravo people. But what I liked about this was that Wes and Rob and Derrick all got to watch this all go down, but not actually participate. So after this, we do see their reactions a little bit, and then we get to see them, I don't want to say scramble, because they're not really scrambling, but we do see Wes and Rob talking a little bit, and Wes tells us that he's trying to stay in with the survivors. He wants to be on the right side of history. They have the vote numbers. It only makes sense for him to work with them. Very smart of Wes to not try and be a one-man army and take out all the survivor people. I would way rather him play with them and then be strategic to take them out at a certain point, then go against them right away. So I like what he's doing here. What are your thoughts?
I'm confused why casting even made Wes by himself, because I thought that they
Me
would
too.
after the results of last season, they would at least give like more challenged people the spotlight. But no, I think it's good. I don't have the highest chances for Wes. I just think that this is going to be an uphill battle for him. But I think Sandra was doing the same thing with the Housewives last season. She was like, I need to kiss their ass for a while. That's what you gotta do, and just be patient, and then when it's time to strike, you strike. I like it.
Yeah, same. I think it's the right move. It gets you at least really close to the end. If you can actually trust the Survivor players, I think the Survivor players are much different than the Housewives. Like, the Housewives aren't thinking like that. Survivor will think like that. But I think he's doing what he needs to do, given exactly like you said, he's on his own. He's the only one on the show. People aren't familiar with him. He doesn't have pre-existing relationships with these people. So he is totally at a disadvantage. But I'm enjoying watching him connect with other people.
It's a little unfair that 2 of the 4 traitors are Survivor players, but in hindsight, he's not doing it.
Eras.
I guess. But even though he's not doing it on purpose, he's technically doing the perfect thing by basically kissing the ass of the traitors, and he has no idea he's doing it. So that's good.
Totally. We see Dylan clocking that Bob the drag queen is the one who put out Wells' name and did not then vote for Wells. And they were like, it seemed like it was Robin, but really it was Bob. And then Ayan also was like, oh, I don't trust Bob. And Robin was like, oh yeah, he is going back and forth. So a little suspicion on Bob to watch out for. Like I said, Wes is playing smart. Rob ends up giving Tony his shield, like in passing in the hallway. He's just like, put out your hand, puts the shield in Tony's hand. So Tony is safe. Rob hooked him up. Derrick ends up not giving the shield to Danielle, not giving the shield to Brittany, gives the shield to Dylan, found his new protege for now, but it seems like you think he might end up leaning towards Rob. But he is a Rob stan, Dylan. Yeah. So I could see your point. And Wes, which I like, gives his shield to Jeremy to be on the right side of history. He wants to be on the vote majority. He wants to buy favor with all the survivors, and he thinks saving Jeremy will do that, which maybe, who knows? We'll see, because next episode we see that survivors not really sticking together as much as we thought they would. So some of them are, but some of them are not. We get to the murder. Bob the drag queen wants to control this entire thing. He's like, I will not take no for an answer for not murdering a housewife. But we do get to see a knock on the door. Who is it? It's Boston Rob. Surprise. We have a 4th traitor.
Yeah.
What do you think of the reaction? Now we're leaning into episode 3. We're bleeding over. And full transparency, I rewatched all of episodes 1 and 2. I did not rewatch episode 3, so we'll probably speed through this one a little bit, not go into as much detail, because I did not take a lot of notes on episode 3.
I think that it's interesting because Danielle, the moment she saw Rob, was like, I want to take Rob out. And Bob didn't care for Rob either. Carolyn was afraid of Rob. I wonder, after what we know just happened, if that changes a little bit for the future. But I mean, I don't think Rob was too ecstatic about being this group either. There's just like a group of misfits right now that really, outside of Danielle and Bob, don't really mesh well strategically. And I think Rob is perfect for a group, for just to be a traitor, because I think he is just a natural born leader. He just needs people that are going to be willing to be led. I think him and Carolyn will be something scary in the future, personally.
I think so too.
If Carolyn allows it to happen. But yeah, I'm very interested. I think Rob is a great traitor option. And I want to see what he does. I personally wanted to see somebody else be a traitor. Like, there's a lot of winners here. You could have picked someone else. But if Rob was a selection, why not? He apparently did really good on Deal and No Deal Island. So let's see it. I
wanted to see Wes as a traitor. We haven't seen a challenge traitor yet. I would have liked to see how Wes would do, but we did just see Wes as House of Villains, where pretty much everyone's a traitor in that show, basically. So we did kind of get to see how he would play. So I actually am excited to see Wes try and be a good guy. But I agree with you. I'm happy to see Rob with this group, because like I said, I feel like he's going to get them together. You said he's a natural born leader. We saw him even in this turret being like, okay, hold on. Like you guys are doing too much.
Yeah.
What's the goal? Okay. How are we going to get to the goal? Which I like that. I agree with you that I think him and Carolyn could be a dangerous combo if we are able to get to that point. But who knows? But you're right. He was like, I'm not happy to see these people. Like they are not on the same page. They're all completely different from each other. And he immediately clocked that like this is not a good group for him to work with.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm kind of glad that the power is being transferred over, hopefully. Because I think with the direction it was going, Danielle and Bob are about to lead this right into the dumpster. So I'm curious to see what Rob brings to the table.
Me too. Me too. So everybody knows who has the shields. Derrick already told Danielle that he gave the shield to Dylan. A lot of D names. Rob told them who he gave the shield to, Tony, and then he said, I'm pretty sure Jeremy has a shield from Wes. So they know, okay, these three are safe. They're not going for them. So no botched murder tonight. Bob, this is when he says, I think that the housewives are an infestation, maybe, and wants to get rid of another housewife. Carolyn and Danielle both are like, I don't want to do it. And Bob was like, I will hear no other answers. And this is literally flawless. What do you think about Bob's arrogance here? Because it doesn't make any sense. Going for another housewife at this point doesn't make any sense.
Bob was extremely cocky all episode. Not
Yes.
even just here. And
Yes.
I'm afraid that he's at a 10 and he's not going to come down to a 5. I think he's going to go to an 11 next episode. I'm just afraid. This specifically is just showing that he wants to be in power. And I think he already said in the confessional, he was just like, I don't need anyone like Rob in this game trying to tell me what to do. I think Bob is way too deep and has no idea that like he's like Bob is like a bus driver that is not certified and is like, I can do this shit, and then crashes the shit over like he's just not, he has no idea what he's in for, and it's going to be such a masterful downfall. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's like he's driving the bus and it's like a straight line. It's straight roads. He's doing okay. And then all of a sudden, like the terrain gets a little crazy, it gets rocky. He's going to have to make some sharp turns and then it's just going to go off the rails.
It's going to, exactly.
They're picking from Bravo again for whatever reason, because Bob got his way, which is surprising because everybody was totally against it. And then they decided, okay, fine. And it was between Ion, Dolores, and Tom Sandoval, which I was like, don't toy with me about getting rid of Tom Sandoval because like I'm ready. He's given us enough clownery. He could go. Fortunately, he did not go. But again, Carolyn is like, no one's listening to me and I'm a team of one. So we're getting more confessionals from her, feeling like I'm on my own here. We even see her after breakfast, not to get too ahead of myself here, but I think she's feeling the outcast vibe pretty hard, which again might be working in her favor.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's she thrives from the bottom. That's what I will say.
As long as and I, like we talked about, I didn't watch her season, so I don't know how self-aware she is about how good of a situation that puts her in. So as long as she can capitalize on that, I'm here for it. Like, I don't know if she takes that kind of thing
questioning
personally.
herself.
Yeah.
She is as intuitive she is with like her intuition. She's also very emotional with some of her decisions. I feel like they'll be like, it's weird, like some hybrid of like strategic emotional decisions that like the decisions are obviously driven off of her feelings, but it makes sense for her game. So like I don't know how that works in the Traitors. We'll see.
Well, I'm excited to see it play out. All right, so we go to breakfast. The new boys come in together. Wes is calling them the Cage Boys. He said they're like a boy band, but he's the only one that can really front a boy band. And I actually agree with him on that. I would stand that boy band, I think, even though I know a lot of people on the internet would not agree with me because people are very mad about the 3 men hanging in their cages, which like, whatever. I'm just going to accept what they're giving me at this point. I'm not going to be too mad about it. Derrick does say, though, he wants to be cautious of the Cage Boys because more than likely one of them is a traitor. It's not him. So one of the two probably is. So good read from Derrick, because obviously Rob is one. Danielle comes in the room doing a lot. She's acting. She's doing a lot of acting. She's doing a lot of talking. She comes in, she's like, my acting is going to be so good. Time to turn on the acting. And I'm like, that's not the point of being a traitor, is like acting. It's trying to do less, not do more. You're doing a lot. And we get a little bit of a Dodo edit for her, which is a little rough. Like, I never thought I would really see Danielle get a Dodo edit.
Yeah. How many people were actually saying, I know you only watched it once. Do we remember how many people had confessionals talking about this? Was it just the traitors, or were there any faithful actually saying, like, that was weird from Danielle? Because I only remember Bob, Carolyn, and Rob talking about this. I don't think anyone else sussed her out about this.
Well, I don't think in a confessional, but we did get Jeremy after breakfast talking to Carolyn, saying, watch out for Danielle because she's acting really weird. So people picked up on it, but the biggest confessional we got really was Rob being like, she needs to stop talking. Like, stop talking. Mm-hmm. She was putting Bob's name out there. I think it's going to be Brittany. I think Brittany's going to die. I think it's going to be Bob the drag queen, because he's 100% obviously a faithful, which when we see traitors do this, it's going to tie her and Bob together. And then when people realize she's a traitor, they're going to immediately realize Bob's a traitor, and she's burying both of them. She's not even burying herself. She's burying both of them. And people are going to start to pick up on it, as Jeremy started to do, which is just not great. And Rob sees it. He's just like, oof, this is not good. This is not good. I don't know. What did you think about this? This is really bad from Danielle, like really bad.
Yeah, I kept thinking of that thing I said during the draft where I was like, don't embarrass me. And I'm like, the edit did her zero justice this episode. I mean, obviously we don't see everything, but for what we did see, it was not good at all. So, what are you going to do? Yeah. My girl's still in the game though. Only one person seems to really be pushing hard for Danielle, and it's Jeremy. So I'm not too worried, but he needs to tighten that up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Tighten that up.
We need Suri there to tell her, clean that up a little bit.
He need to clean that up. Clean that up. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, we find out, sadly, that poor Ayan never stood a chance, really. But I felt bad for her. I just feel like she, again, didn't really know what she signed up for, and she got the check. She brought her outfit. She was cute, but like, she was sad that she got let go. She was crying. I just felt bad for her.
Yeah, I was really sad too, because I was one of the people on my draft team. So I already took Al. But she seemed nice. She grew on me with her two episodes. I thought that she was gonna be a big character. Very sad that we lost her this early, but hey, that's Traitors.
It's true. We got it's the Housewives Hunters, as Dolores said. It's not the Traitors anymore. It's the Housewives Hunters. Anything else from this breakfast? I feel like it was relatively tame, other than the Danielle stuff. But again, I didn't take notes on this episode, you guys, so don't come for me. But yeah, I feel like that was the main event.
Yeah, it was quick. There wasn't really much going on there. Most of the action happened in the later half of the episode. Yes, for sure.
Definitely. The only other thing about this is that, and it's a carryover from the last episode, is just I really like seeing Wes build relationships with people outside of the challenge. I think he's doing a good job. He's making jokes. Everybody's laughing. When Tony asked him a question, he was like, I was taught not to talk to cops. And everybody's like, oh, Wes. So I feel like his charisma is like working for him. So good for you, Wes. Rooting for you. After breakfast, we do get Carolyn leaving the room feeling like an outcast. She's talking to, I think it's Gabby and Nikki, or some subset of that like girl group. And then Bob Harper comes in. Jeremy pulls her aside too. He's like, let's talk. She's obviously like she's having a time. She's having a little bit of a time. And then they all start talking shit about her. And they're like, she's a hot mess. She's batshit crazy. And that made me feel really bad for her, because she heard them. I didn't love that.
Which one? Who was it was on Hill? Was it Carolyn, or who was it?
Carolyn.
Yeah. This happened in Survivor. Like I said, she's used to it at this point.
I know, she literally was like, I just heard them calling me a hot mess as they walked out. And Jeremy's like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about them.
Yeah, I think she's used to it at this point. I mean, I think she said this happens in real life, but it's. I mean, obviously it's annoying. But I have no control over it. It sucks though
Yeah.
that it happens. But as a game player, this is going to help her tremendously, like it did in Survivor.
Totally.
I do feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. This is where Jeremy comforts her a little bit and says that he would be careful about Danielle. She's acting weird. She's acting funny. I don't know if she's a traitor, but there's something off about her. She's acting funny. And Danielle has a little bit of I mean, Carolyn has a little bit of a decision to make here. Does she tell Danielle? Does she keep it to herself? If I'm Carolyn, I'm not saying shit because Danielle is obviously not here for Carolyn. They obviously butt heads. Like that information has power. Keep it to yourself for now and then see if you can use it against Danielle later to at least take one of like your adversaries out of the game. Because Danielle, again, she's not protecting Carolyn. That's for sure. If they are going to cut a traitor, the first person Danielle's cutting is Carolyn, which we kind of saw at the end of the episode too. She tried it a little bit. So she keeps it to herself for now, though. For now is the key word. For now. We also see Robin talk to Wes about Tony. She tells him that Tony won Survivor 3 times, so making Tony a very multimillionaire instead of just a multimillionaire, extreme multimillionaire. She's wrong. But Wes does what he says he's going to do, try and win favor with the survivors, and gives Tony a heads up that the housewives are looking at him. So those are the names that are out right now. Danielle and Tony.
Yeah,
and Bob the drag queen.
A couple people doing some snitching this episode.
A lot of snitching happening this episode.
Chess pieces are moving.
Anything else you want to talk about leading up to the mission? We could blow through this mission too. It's the only one real eventful thing happened.
The first half was extremely slow, so nothing really.
I know. I feel like they got us a little bit excited in the first episode by giving us a mission that actually meant something, and the second one meant something in the sense that it brought new people into the game. But this one was it was a little boring. But they didn't win any money, right? Am I wrong? They didn't win any money. They didn't get the shield, basically.
Yeah,
because no one got through, right?
Yeah, they did a terrible job. I will say the one thing which was the big catalyst for Tony and Bob was Bob was calling, not the drag queen, another Bob was calling out Bob Tony Harper, because he didn't, for some reason Tony specifically didn't volunteer to go first. I thought this was a little weird, but I also think that Bob is so obvious of a faithful that people let it slide because they're unsure about Tony. But for Bob to go into the challenge when it was his turn and still mess up was just bro, I would have targeted you and think you're a traitor because it felt like sabotage at that point. But whatever. I think it's to give Bob Harper credit for his social game. I think he's doing good making bonds.
I'm loving both of the Bobs. I think both Bobs are way more, especially Bob Harper, because I didn't care about him at all. I had no preconceived anything, and I like the TV he's giving me. But I agree with you that he's obviously a faithful. I think this was carryover from the first episode where they were looking for someone to volunteer. Basically, the setup of the mission is that it's kind of like a fun house. They have different rows of doors that are all decorated differently, and the goal is to try and get through all the doors without getting your balloon popped or whatever. And there's scary clowns in each door, and the wrong door is only one door of the 4 is correct. And they have to communicate and work together to get through this fun house, because if you get through the first one and then you get through the second one, but you get caught, you want the next person that goes behind you to go through the same door you went to get through it and then figure it out. And eventually the goal is to get everybody through. They are awful at explaining what these doors look like. They're like, oh, this is a triangle with a white border and a little bit of yellow and a dot. It's and maybe this was in the rules and I didn't know, but just say, I'm going through the first door. I'm going through the second from the left. I'm going through the last door on the right.
I don't know why they weren't doing it.
That's the easiest way to do it.
There's 4 doors. I'm going to the first door on the left. Go to first. They could have knocked this out so quickly, but
there must have been something in the rules or something saying that they couldn't do that.
Doubt it.
But why would none of them do that? They're not all stupid. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
I doubt that they said you can't tell people which door you're going to go into, because regardless, there's 4 doors. Like, I don't know. That's just me.
No, I mean, I
But
agree. I
even
was
with the
asking the same
rule,
question.
like they should have been able to get it. Like, it was obvious.
They were so
They just didn't
bad. They were
listen.
so bad at this. Yeah, no one was listening. They did a really bad
Yeah.
job at explaining. But the argument was who goes first, which I understand why people cared because there was a shield at the end, but I also don't really understand why they care that much, because it's the goal is to get the money. It's not like everybody's gonna be safe who gets through, and then people who aren't gonna get through aren't safe. Like, only one
Mm-hmm.
shield is there, so it's really not that big of a deal. Um,
It's not.
but I guess it was a carryover from the first episode. I think it was Bob Harper and Dolores maybe volunteered to go first. And then I think, like I said, I didn't take notes, but Bob, the drag queen, was like, no, like, we're not going to have the same people volunteering for everything. Like, and then the finger got pointed at Tony, because I think Tony was pretty vocal in episode 1 too about like, I'm not volunteering. I'm not getting off this boat. I'm not going. And Tony got the heat. It could have been anybody, but for whatever reason, it was Tony this time. And that put a lot of suspicion on Tony.
Tony himself had a confessional this episode saying that sometimes he does too much. And he was like, I wouldn't even be surprised if someone blamed me as a traitor, because like I do traitor-y things. But he's like, I think Tony deep down is kind of like a lot of the great television personalities, where he also understands this is a TV show, we have to entertain. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to do both, unfortunately.
Yep, totally. But that's basically, I mean, that's the most notable thing about this episode, other than how bad everybody is at describing what doors look like. So they go back to the castle. And this is where it gets a little fuzzy for me, because like I said, no notes, but there's a lot of names floating around and a lot of snitching happening. So Danielle finds out her name is out because Jeremy says her name to someone else. And I'm not remember, in front of Bob. Am I right? Or Rob? One of the two traitors, he says the name in front of.
I think he said Bob.
So Bob took it right back to Danielle. Yeah. Then Danielle asks Carolyn, Jeremy saying my name. And then Carolyn, unfortunately, I don't think she needed to do this, but told Danielle, yes, he did say your name to me too, which I wish she was just like, oh no, I didn't hear anything. Like, keep that information to yourself. You didn't need to do it. She already knows that he's saying it. It doesn't need to also come from you. Keep that relationship with Jeremy flourishing. Don't disregard that too quickly. We also see Dylan going for Bob the drag queen because of what happened the night before at the Roundtable with Wells. And again, I'm forgetting who tells Bob, but someone tells Bob. Jeremy, I think, tells Bob. Actually.
Yep.
Jeremy comes in the room
in front of Tony.
In front of Tony, and then Bob is like, I'm gonna go say something. Jeremy's like, don't say anything. Like, come on, why are you saying anything? Don't go. He didn't. He went out and he talked to someone else about it and was pissed. So there's a lot of like scurrying around before this roundtable. I loved it. I thought it was really fun. A lot of names out there.
It was great. I think Jeremy definitely got a little sloppy there, because I feel like if this was like a Big Brother Survivor person, they wouldn't have ran their mouth. But you gotta stop trying to play ball with these people who don't know social strategy games. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I think Tony had the perfect, like, Tony got screwed over so bad this episode, but like Tony was even like, Jeremy, like, what are you doing?
Why are you saying anything? Yeah, why are you telling
that
him?
was amateur work. Yeah, that was amateur work, man. It was bad. It was very bad. I said the same thing. I'm like, what the hell, Jeremy? I don't know.
I'm worried for Jeremy.
But there's something there that's like, yo, Jeremy's under the mist. Like, Bob has missed and Jeremy's under it. Bob, for you to have this crazy reaction, you're about to lose one of your pawns. Like I feel like Jeremy left that convo like, I'm never telling him anything again. Like, missed opportunity from Bob. That was really bad, man. Really bad.
Not even that. I mean, I guess it's hard to navigate at the end, and we'll get there and we get there, but not even that. But you're just losing any favor you had with Jeremy based on what's going to happen at the end of this episode. And when clearly Jeremy felt some kind of a way about Bob, where he felt like he had to go tell him that people were saying his name. But yeah, no, Tony's reaction to this was actually really funny too. I totally agree. But yeah, I don't know what Jeremy is doing here. I think his problem is that he's sharing information with people that are unpredictable, or people that he's not able to like control their reaction. Carolyn kept it to herself until she, I guess, couldn't, quote unquote, but she didn't really have to tell Danielle. But Bob went right to Danielle, which didn't come from Jeremy, I guess. I don't know. It's all, this was messy. A lot of information being
She
shared all
said,
over the
Disha,
place.
it was
hmm
bad.
Yes, yes. So at the round table, there's a lot of names out there. Specifically, Dylan coming for Bob, the drag queen, and a lot of people coming for poor Tony. A lot of people coming for Tony. Tony does a really bad job of defending himself here. What did you think about Tony?
I feel like the house was already set on voting Tony the moment they walked in.
Yeah.
And because I mean, if you look at Tony in Survivor, he's never really had the best arguments either. Like, I mean, obviously he made llama noise and stuff, but like he's had argument with like a Cass, or like he's been caught doing like slimy stuff with Sandra. He's not like a good speaker, you know what I'm saying?
No.
So that's why he's always needed like the bag of tricks and everything, the spy bunkers, because his social game is very horrible. You know what I'm saying? Like he does not have a good social game. It didn't surprise me. Like
Yeah.
the mist of Tony is because Tony is big moves. Tony, he's not social game Tony. You know,
Right.
that's a game.
Yeah. I know. I was hoping for more of him, because basically anytime someone was like, "Oh, I think you're a traitor," he's like, "Tell me right now, you think I'm a traitor? You thought I was a traitor today, or you thought I was a traitor yesterday?" And they're like, "I think you're a traitor right now." Like that's who right now is what's important, and I think you're a traitor right now at this table, and I'm gonna write your name down. Like, why it doesn't your arguments don't really make a lot of sense. I think Dylan should have kept the Bob, the drag queen stuff to himself until he had more evidence, because he's right. But I don't think he had the capital to capitalize on it. I think Bob obviously had a heads up going into it. No,
See, he didn't know about that. See, if he didn't,
right.
he was
If he
under
knew-
the expectation that people like Jeremy and Brittany and all of them were like on his side. So like he probably thought he had the backing for it. He didn't know that
Yeah.
Bob knew. And I don't think
Right.
Bob actually exposed that he knew. So he just got outplayed at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Dylan's read here. Same thing, I just think it's too early. Like, people were talking about Danielle and they didn't bring Danielle's name up. Like, I think that's smart, is to just sit on it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And they didn't sit on it, unfortunately.
It's not
So
like Derrick. Derrick's been quiet every single ceremony, and no one's called him out on it because I think he's doing what Dan wanted to do, but way better. Because Dan was just everyone was sus on Dan because he didn't talk well enough to people. Derrick is like conversating with people, and then he's not talking until like Dan until he has something to say. So
yeah.
I think Derrick's doing way better than them.
I also think for Derrick, it's easy for him, because everybody knows he's a detective, to say, "I'm just observing. I'm
Yeah.
taking it in," and doing exactly, like, to your point, what Dan did last season of saying, like, "I'm not gonna accuse someone unless I have the evidence." Like, Dan, that was just
Honestly,
weird
Wes is
coming
doing it
from
too,
Dan.
though. Wes is doing it
Wes
too,
is
though.
doing it. Yeah, Wes is doing it.
Yeah.
But I think Derrick, it's easier for him to get away with it, because people would expect that from, like, a detective. You know, people are like, "Oh, Detective Derrick, I wanna see what he comes, like, his investigation." So they're, like,
Mm-hmm.
happy, they're fine with him gathering evidence. I think Derrick is doing a good combination of what I wanted Danielle to do and what I wanted Dan to do. Like, Dan tried something, Danielle's trying something, and they both went to the extreme opposite ends. Like, she's doing way too much and Dan didn't do enough. And I think Derrick is a good middle ground of, like, what if they met in the middle, they would be doing what Derrick is doing right now.
Agreed.
So that's a compliment for Derrick. Yeah, Tony, things go real left for Tony. Jeremy defends Tony a little bit and is like, I really don't think I know him. We've played together. And then in comes Boston Rob, burying his friend, sort of. I don't know. Are they friends?
They're friends.
Who he gave the shield to the night before. But he goes and tells everybody, "I gave Tony the shield and he didn't have one single conversation with me until after." And the reason Rob does this is not to get rid of Tony, but to protect the traitors. And I actually don't like this from Rob at all. I think these are not traitors that are going to do the same for him. I think he would be better suited to get one of Bob or Danielle out without getting dirt on his hands. Maybe not right away, but like, let Bob fight his own battles. You don't need to protect anybody. You don't need to like throw dirt on someone else just to get someone out. That could be an ally for you, because then Rob would have a hand, and then if they recruited another traitor, he would be able to have a hand in recruiting someone that he would rather work with, because he clearly doesn't want to work with these people. So I don't know why he stuck his neck out like that and pushed Tony
I
out.
mean, I think he definitely helped Bob. And I mean, even though they won't do the same for him in the future, I think that they need Bob. I mean, Rob needs Bob and them to be in the game. Just for now, there's so many people in the house, and I mean, respectfully, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit. When they have to do the little scroll thing, they consider putting Carolyn out over Rob. So it's like, okay, like,
well, yeah,
I don't know
they
if that's
don't
fully
want
true yet.
Carolyn
So
at all.
that's what I'm saying.
Involved.
But they also don't want Rob in the game either. So it's like, I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see what the ramifications are of this in the future. I don't think it was good for him to put himself out there. But to be quite frank, everyone was already sus of one of those three being a traitor, and everyone was already sus of Rob. Everyone already knew Rob was a threat. So I don't think him talking or not talking is going to help his threat level. Everyone's going to be looking at him the entire game, you know? So he just used some of his good stock very early. But hey, at least we got him calling Rob, what do you call him? He called him a sellout. That's just like when he called, who did he call? He called Coach a little man back in Heroes versus Villains.
Right,
So it's
right.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Full circle. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think in the long term, this was a bad move for Rob, because I think it seems like the Survivor people were under the assumption that they would at least like kind of be looking out for each other. And Rob very clearly went against Tony after giving him the shield. So I just think this also maybe doesn't do great for him with Jeremy. Carolyn, I don't think cares either way. Obviously, she knows Rob's a traitor and whatever. But I think with Jeremy specifically, this is probably not going to go super well, or like raise a flag or two, because let's be real, Jeremy doesn't trust Rob either. He's smart. He knows.
We'll see. I mean, but Jeremy and Rob were talking on their way out of that ceremony, so we'll see. I think the bigger loss, because I actually don't think it matters about with the Survivor correlation. I think they're going to be tight regardless. I think the bigger fear is him having Wes or Derrick on his tail. Derrick is the one that he should be afraid of.
Yes, 1,000%.
And 1,000%. Derrick is on his tail now, so that's the one that he should. And I think Wes will be on board for that as well. I would be more afraid of Derrick and Wes than Jeremy for sure. And you gotta be careful. You just have to be careful.
Yeah. I think the one saving grace from this situation with Rob is that it's true. He gave Tony a shield, and Tony did not have any conversations with him. So even afterwards, you're like, Rob can say like, I don't know. He didn't talk to me. Like it was weird. That was weird behavior. We know each other. He never said anything to me. So I think like that gives Rob a little bit of wiggle room here to just say like, it's the truth. That's what happened. It's not like Jeremy, I mean, it's not like Tony disputed that fact, but Tony got emotional when he got voted out. He got voted out by a pretty large majority. It was not close like the first Roundtable. And you're a sellout, bro. You're a sellout, bro. And I'm surprised they let him actually say that. I figured they would just make him leave, but I'm glad he did. It gave for good TV. And everybody's like, wow, Tony was really shook. Like, he was so emotional. I've never seen Tony like that before.
I mean, it was fucked up. I mean, I think the last time he was about to crash out, Sandra, what did she say? She said, that's what you get. That's what you get. Like Tony plays for his family, has a big heart. He never goes to anything. He doesn't do this shit a lot. So, you could tell that he really cares about this and trying to get his family in a good place and all that. But hey, that's the game, man.
Listen, they have $3 million from Survivor alone. So I don't know what they did with that money, but they're in a better position than
I feel like Tony will be okay with it once he see that Rob was a traitor. I think he'll be like,
I think so too.
Like,
we'll see at the reunion, I guess. But...
Yeah.
Another person I think that was gone too soon. I think we were robbed of Dorinda. We're robbed of some Tony mess later on. I'm sad we didn't get any like weird spying, hiding under couches, listening behind doors. A little bit of a bummer that we lost Tony this early. He was a big get.
The spy addict. We need a spy addict.
I'm disappointed. But enough about Tony. You're right. Derrick is on Rob's tail. for sure. He's looking at him. He's watching. He's suspicious. And instead of doing a normal murder tonight, we get another twist. A lot of twists so far in these first 3 episodes is that the traitors have to murder in plain sight, no meeting, and they have to go into the wine cellar, which is in the bar area in front of everybody. Like it's accessible to everyone. They have to go in undetected and write 3 names on a piece of paper and hide it in this like coffin thing. And then those 3 people will be the short list of people who are getting murdered, and they'll be put in coffins. I don't really know what happens from. I was like not really following what happens from there. Then like who's choosing? The traitors are choosing who gets murdered from there.
I don't know. Go ahead, and I'll see what I got.
No, you go ahead. You go.
I mean, this was a cool twist. The only thing is that I don't know how dramatic this actually was, because you could tell there was just like a lot of heavy editing. I did like Derrick saying like this house feels a lot smaller, but that could have been in correlation to this, or like Tony getting eliminated. Like I don't know what was what. I'm very curious to see if the girl actually saw Danielle and Carolyn coming out of the secret room. That would be very crazy. But I don't know. I think it was just clever editing at the end of the day. Who knows?
Well, they got me hyped up because and obviously everybody else thought Derrick was walking in the room and was going to catch them. And I was like, I'm here for Derrick catching all 4 of these people. Like I'm here for it. What would happen? I don't even know what would happen if he caught all 4 of them in there. I wanted to see it. I was dying to see it. We didn't see it, unfortunately. But we did see in that wine cellar. First of all, how dumb are you guys to not have one person standing at the bar and like being like, you guys go in, these are my names. You guys go in, these are my names. Why are all 4 of you in there at the same time? No one can see who's on the other side of that door. You guys are so dumb.
Right.
And I'm shocked that Rob would allow that to happen. Like Rob should be smarter than that. And the fact that all of them were in there at once. First of all, Carolyn walks in and leaves the door open.
I was going to say, to be fair, one, they're on a timer and they couldn't find Carolyn. Remember, it was the other 3. They just walked in. They didn't know where Carolyn was. They were about to just throw Carolyn in there, if you remember. Like, they didn't care. Yeah. So they had, I think this is just kind of like when Parvati had to make someone drink out the chalice by a certain time. Like it's a timer. So I get the haste, but very sloppy for sure.
I just feel like you could take a second to say, okay, there's too many of us in here right now. These are the names I want in here, and be like, I'm going to go stand at the bar just to make sure. And I'll knock on the door or whatever when it's safe to come out. It's super sloppy, because last season we saw a variation of this. You're right, where Parv had to put the poison in the thing, but you didn't see Dan and Phaedra right behind her being like, ooh, what glass? Like this is like the equivalent of if they were all partnering to like put poison in a glass together. It's just messy. And we see at the end of the episode, Jeremy is one of the names. There's a potential that they could put a traitor up for like bait, I guess. And then I don't remember who the last name was that they decided on. If they even told us, I'm not 100% sure. But Jeremy is the biggest name because he's saying he's floating Danielle's name, which I don't love it. I'm worried about Jeremy here. I'm hoping that this doesn't go that way, but we'll see.
That'd be horrible if they actually.
It would be absolutely horrible. It would be horrible. We do then see Gabby is like lurking from the Bachelorette, is like lurking at the door, and we see her like look in, and we see her then like look out. And you're right, it's really hard to read this because it is so very clearly heavily edited, but it's like a whole montage of people being like, something's going on. This place feels so empty. What's going on? And we said, it looked like Derrick was going to walk in. I was dying for it. I was like, please shut the fuck up. There's no way this is happening. Unfortunately, there was no way it was happening. And then we see Gabby leave the room when there's no one in there. And then Danielle and Carolyn come out and Gabby comes back in, supposedly sees them. And like the room was empty when she left, and then they're there when she comes in. So if it's not like frankenbitten together and edited, maybe we get a little messy.
That would be freaking hilarious.
I really am hoping for it, but I seem to recall last season too, it seemed like someone was going to catch Parv putting the poison drink out, or the chalice, and like that didn't happen. So I think they're tricking us here.
Absolutely. It's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, but I want it. I'm hoping for it.
I do too.
But that wraps us up. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you feeling so far with these first 3?
I'm so happy. I'm give it a. I give it a 9. I'm just, and maybe this is recency bias. I watched the episodes today. I'm just excited that it's reality TV season again. I was very sad that I had no BB Can, and the Traitors and Dondi has saved me from my hiatus. Great TV all week. So the great 3 episodes. I'm very sad that I have to go back to waiting for 1 episode a week. I hate cliffhangers. The show, that's the only thing I hate about the show. Season 1 didn't have a bunch of cliffhangers like this. I hate the cliffhangers. But that's how these shows are. But 9, I was thoroughly entertained, never bored, very happy.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a 9 too. I am always like not in traitor mode until I start watching a season of the Traitors. I'm always like, oh, Traitors. It's like, not that I feel like it's a chore. I love the show, but like it just feels like there's so much Traitors that I'm like, I don't know if I want to do another season of Traitors. But then I watch episode 1 and I'm like, I'm all in on the Traitors. And UK this season has been pretty good, but not my favorite. UK usually is my number 1. And US is like, I don't usually love it. These 3 episodes are the best episodes of Traitors I've seen in a long time. I loved it. I'm excited.
Right.
The cast has given me way more than I thought they would. And like I said, I feel very conflicted because I'm rooting for people I thought I would hate, and I'm not rooting for people I thought I would root for. And it's making me feel very conflicted mentally, but it's exciting and I'm hyped up on it.
That's how you know it's a good show.
Exactly. It's got me feeling some feelings. I will say they got to do something about this release schedule. You're right. The UK does every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So even if I'm sorry, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So even if you get a cliffhanger on Friday, you only have to wait until Wednesday. This 1 episode, and you're still getting 3 episodes a week. It's quick. This 1 episode a week drags it out too much, I think. So I'm surprised they're still doing this. I figured they would have maybe changed it up a little bit, given that a lot of
I
people
might
had
just
that
get rid of the
feedback,
cliffhangers and just show me who dies so I don't have to wait a whole week. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Totally.
That's
Well,
my thing.
don't worry, Isaiah. Next week, we're not going to be here for 2.5 hours. We'll be here for probably an hour because we only have 1 episode to talk about. But until then, where can everybody find you? What are you up to?
People can find me at 8 Ball Bangers on everything. And yeah, we're back covering TV. I'm covering 2 shows with Katie. I'm covering this, and I'm covering Deal or No Deal Island. And look, we got Rachel on the pod today. You never know who's going to come for future episodes. So make sure you guys keep a lookout for that. But very excited for both of these shows. Should be a great year of reality television. So yeah.
Love it. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and listening, whether you're watching live with us here or you're listening later on our audio feeds or watching on YouTube or wherever later. We appreciate it. Thank you all also for going with the flow. We know we switched some things up on you. We're going to do a couple of episodes. We mushed them all into 1. We only had Rachel for a little bit, but listen, we did it live. Okay. That's what we're here for. That's what we're doing. And we saved hopefully everybody a little bit of time without having to leave us and then come back to us a little later. So feel free to check me out at realsomekatie.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. I've given up Twitter. You can follow me there if you want, but I'm private and I don't check it. So, but I'm there. My handle's still there at realsomekatie. And you can find me here, like Isaiah said, for Dondi. I'm not going to be here this coming Wednesday. I have a work trip, but I will be back next week for Friday to talk about Traitors. So we'll be here every week, 1 episode a week. Javier will be back with us soon.
And I just will say, because I know we've been on a hiatus since Big Brother. We had to take a little break. We got some real life stuff. More than appreciative of everybody who just keeps tapping in, keeping up with the socials and everything. I know I don't get an opportunity to really say that much, but we really do support all you guys who check in. All the comments last week on the VOD was awesome too. Like, just appreciate it, man. So thank you for staying with us and being patient with us.
Yes, totally agree. Could not echo that sentiment more. Thank you, everybody, for being here and sticking with us for I think it's our 4th full Traitors season coverage. We've gone through a lot of iterations of it, but we love it. We have a lot of fun. So share it, comment, like us, subscribe. Let me put our little graphic up so you can see where we are at. And until then, we will be back next week. For those of you listening, follow us at silent_podcast on Twitter. We're also on Blue Sky. Just search Silent Podcast. I don't know our handle right away, but we're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We are on all your podcast apps. So check us out there. Rate us 5 stars if you liked what you heard. Rachel Reilly would want you to rate us 5 stars. She wouldn't want you to rate us anything less. You're also rating her 5 stars. So if you like what you heard, do that for us. And shout out again to Rachel for being here. We appreciate it. Hopping on in the middle of
Awesome.
her pizza making with her kids to just chat. She gave us some tea. A new show with Big Brother people.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
What? We didn't even
Need
talk
to
about
see
that.
what that is.
We
That
heard that
was
they were able to watch
crazy.
YouTube clips in between each night. Like that was a lot of information.
That
to
was
watch, I don't
crazy.
feel like. She gave us some
Yeah.
good tea. So thank you so much for Rachel and Watch Worst Cooks in America on the Food Network, and check her out. Thank you guys. Until next time, ciao tutti, as Alan Cumming says, whatever that means. Ciao tutti. Bye.